Hey, welcome, jerks. Mike Crawford. I took a couple nights off. It's nice to be back. Wow, I ate too much today. I ate too much last night too with Bettero and Mazza over at the Kowloon. So that triggered a few people again. So much so, one of my good friends left me a message last night at like 1:40 something a.m. Captain Tough Guy. He only left a 6-second message this time. Last time he sent a longer message, but at the end it sounded like he was scared. It's like definitely one of the McAlbert trolls. I'm enjoying the voicemails that he leaves me. I'm definitely gonna put together a little McAlbert troll phone call voicemail video after the show tonight when I have a little time tonight. So you should check for that on the YouTube. I played one of them a few months ago. It's time to put them both together now, since the same guy likes to call back. These folks are just so funny. I think that's gonna bother me. Like you left me a nasty voicemail after all the shit that's gone on here. Like, give me a break. But I'm feeling pretty good today. I took a few days off and enjoyed myself this weekend. I am a little tired right now, but I think we're going to get through it. Last show I did was like 3 or 4 days ago. It was actually a really good one. I really enjoyed it. It was about the rubber duckies. We've been in Boston.com and some other places quoted. So the police decide to. It's like Vaza said, I can't even go to Canton for one day without the police following me around and reporting on everything that I do. It's just like crazy. I mean, that's the situation here that we're covering this. Free Karen Reed and all the situation going on in Canton. Tomorrow, there's a huge police audit meeting. I'm hearing we'll see. I'm hearing different things from different sources, but I think tomorrow may be a big day for the police audit in Canton. Shall see Monday night, 7 p.m. We're going to be streaming that live. It's at a smaller location, apparently. It only holds a few people. So apparently, I think from one of my sources telling me late minute that protesters will be able to be heard from probably inside the meeting outside the way it's set up there. So it should be very interesting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. There's going to be extended public comment. So it should be exciting. It should be and I think the police audit folks may have heard us. Hopefully they heard this, from their Canton residents, Canton citizens, and decide to straighten this thing out because there's been a lot of pushback from law enforcement contractors themselves. We had Larry on from the Sturm Group last week, and he told us all about the issues with the audit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I'm looking forward to that. Also, Tuesday night, 7 p.m., it's going to be a Canton Select Board meeting. So it's going to be a busy week in Canton. Okay, yeah, I was just checking something quick. My sound is good, right, everyone? Good. All right. So I got a guest here. She's waiting, standing by. She's a Canton resident. She's been on the show a few times in the past. People have seen her, specifically at select board meetings. You may have seen a police officer kind of get physical with her, which was kind of really not a good look for them. What the hell they're thinking? She's been through a lot of crap. Funny how a lot of us that don't even live in Canton have been threatened and harassed. And like I said, the prank phone calls again for me last night. But for the Canton residents, it's another level. And we have one of them on that's like right in the center of this. People saying, Rita, nope, not Rita tonight. Rita may be on maybe tomorrow night or Tuesday night. She's going to be on one of those nights. But we have someone else who frequently speaks at the Canton Select Board. You guys know. Yeah. We've got Jennifer O'Donnell. We got a big show tonight. After Jennifer, too, I'm going to have another friend of mine on the show who it's not about Canton so much. It's more about medical cannabis workers, something that we used to cover pretty extensively. And a few people got let go at the state that, me and this person exposed Danny Carson. So he's going to jump on a little later at the end of the, after Jennifer O'Donnell is off the show. So please stick around for that. That's going to be interesting too. Or like I said, we cover corruption wherever it is in Massachusetts. We're all over it. So we're going to cover multiple stories tonight. But let's bring up Jennifer O'Donnell first. She's our headliner tonight. Yes, Jen O'Donnell. Indra says she's so hot. Let's not objectify people. I don't really love it when men and women do it to me sometimes, which is kind of weird because I'm not that sexy. But it's not, for women, it's definitely different. I can't imagine being a woman where everyone's objectifying everything. I like this one. This is a better one. See, Dina, the women always know what to say. Jen is a beautiful, strong woman. Yes, she is. Let's bring up Jennifer O'Donnell. Hello, Jennifer O'Donnell.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I am really excited to be here and very grateful for you to share your platform with me tonight.
Awesome. I'm hoping you carry me because I'm kind of like, oh my God, this weekend just killed me with so much going on,
Yep, I can help do that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of aggressive behaviors happening in Canton that I want to start bringing to light, because while I love cracking jokes and I'll probably make fun of a lot of the situations myself, it is really serious and citizens are really now. And I spoke to 2 more citizens today. Peter Murphy came with me so that I would have a witness and so that he would add to the questions that were being asked. Citizens are not safe in the town of Canton, and I will not stop speaking out until the state and the town and everyone starts to take this more seriously, because we're afraid at this point. So.
Now, I'm not sure if you're on Twitter. Are you on Twitter by chance?
Only when I'm looking to have my feelings hurt for the day. I pop in, drop a few bombs on KP, pop right back out again. And I look at hearts and avoid like comments, unless it's a name I recognize. But yeah, I don't go deep diving anymore. It's toxic.
Because there's a reporter, Sue O'Connell from NBC.
She's Boston. An idiot. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Sue's an idiot. I gotta say that because I've known her, of her for years, but I think she's missing some stuff on this. I don't know what the disconnect, because it seemed like she was pretty good earlier on this, and some of the comments this week were just kind of. It's like lumping instances together and making it seem like it's free Karen Reed people who are doing them. Did you see those posts? Some of the posts that she made.
I didn't see all of it, but I did see people's reactions and like little clips and stuff throughout Facebook. I really do not try to spend much time. Hi, Rich. I don't try to spend too much time on Twitter because, like I said, it's really, really toxic. So I really don't. Yeah.
Now she's kind of like pointing out like, all of these different instances that McAlbert's did stuff and not label it McAlbert's. And then like one thing, like the ducks that the Karen Reed people did, and lumping it all together and saying everyone's toxic here. What would you say to someone like her? Because you're a Canton resident, and this both sides thing, that both sides are doing this.
No. So the difference is their side is toxic. Their side is dangerous. Their side is escalating. Their side is very aggressive. I mean, Chris Albert himself, we've got his like finest hits at this point. He can't help but get caught on video degrading women and threatening violence. So yeah, I mean, we throw rubber duckies down or, litter some fake money. Who knows? Like they find that super intimidating, but that's a them problem, not a society problem. But our problem with them is a society problem. Like somebody's going to get hurt. Their behavior is leading to somebody getting really, really hurt. Their threats are getting more dangerous. Their threats are getting more pointed at people. Like they're getting really personal with their threats. So, and I know that people say like threats are threats. You don't know it's coming. Like, I believe that you can watch patterns though, and you can see escalations, and you can understand that feeling you're getting when you're out there is that there's really ill intent surrounding you at that moment. And that's the feeling in Canton right now.
And what types of things have happened to you specifically?
For myself, I've had men in pickup trucks park outside my residence, one in broad daylight, revving their engine, like parked really oddly. Like if the street's right here, they were parked at an angle coming off of my neighbor's yard so that the front of their truck was angled at me, and I was taking groceries in and out of the house. Or like, obviously I wasn't taking groceries out of the house, but I was bringing them into the house. And then later that night, when I went to walk my dog wouldn't come outside with me, and it was really weird. And then finally I like kind of just pulled her. I'm like, come on, you like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. We need to do this. And I got her outside, and she started walking through the yard. And as I looked up, I saw a pickup truck, and they're souped up pickup trucks. Like they're not just little, like someone who runs to the dump on the weekends pickup trucks. Like these are souped up pickup trucks. These are their babies, you know? And a big one was sitting, a black one was sitting right at the edge of my yard, and the window was down. And that's what I noticed. Like, I didn't notice that Roxy had stopped. I had noticed like a feeling, and I like looked up, and there was a man staring at me. I can't describe who it was, but it is what it is. And when I looked at him, he put his window up and then revved his engine and pulled up like past my neighbor's yard into the second neighbor's yard, and started doing a turnaround. And I called for my husband, and he ran out and started running down the street. And at this point, the truck was turned around, like looking at him, and the truck revved its engine, looked at him, went around him, and started aiming at me and the dog on our yard, and then turned and drove down. And like, you have to understand the size of my neighborhood and like where I live. Like there's just not a lot of space to like be revving your engine and picking up speed and like safely be, because then there's this little, like we're called the knoll, because there's this little roundabout like off in the corner. So they had to go one house over from mine, hit the knoll, go through there to pull out of the neighborhood. Like it's just an awkward angle to be revving into it, you know? So,
funny you mentioned the dog, because I'm going to bring up something that happened to me too with the dog, which is I also think about the dog that didn't bark, which is. Let me ask you about the trucks. The trucks that you saw, did you recognize them? Do you know who they are?
I don't know who they are. I got pictures of them, but I didn't get like good pictures of the license plates. So I can't really do anything about that again. And then our Ring doorbell wasn't working at the time. It now, since that night, is working perfectly fine. And Chief Rafferty can confirm that, because I was able to produce video of the bastards who hit my yard. So don't you worry. And my neighbor across the street is getting a Ring doorbell, and I'm sure I could convince a few more neighbors to do the same. So I'm all good on that front.
Awesome.
So they can stop coming for me.
Yeah, it's good to get security. I mean, I think if Sue O'Connell's listening, she should realize how many of us had to get security systems.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I had to get one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
to
have
make
to
my family
drive
feel a
with
little
the camera
safer.
in my car.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe driving on the road. I'm afraid someone's going to run me off the road. I'm afraid someone's going to mess with my car. Like, I had a beautiful Volvo that I had to get a new car. My Volvo was fine. Then I joined the movement and started doing the Neponset Street standouts. And now I had to get a brand new car. That's how expensive it was getting for me to keep up with my car when they started fucking with it. But it's all like stuff that my mechanic can't prove that it was.
What kind
like,
of stuff happened to your car?
I had to replace several tires because when they blew, they just shredded. I had to replace tires because they just wouldn't keep air in them. There were engine problems, but the only problem, we can't figure out how they would have got in the engine, but like, it's not a normal problem for my car to have gotten. it's something that someone could have, like, it's more consistent with someone doing something to the car. So
I had 2 flat tires in the last couple of months too.
yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
One day, my dog started going nuts one day. This is the middle afternoon. I don't put on my Ring cameras until late night. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't have any cameras on. Going nuts. I think he might, that happens a lot because, we have nature trails and stuff. And animals, birds, people walking. So I'm not really that concerned, especially in the middle of the day. It's pretty common. We got UPS drivers coming in, all that. So I'm thinking maybe he's got to go to the bathroom too. So I take him out, and instantly he goes right towards my car. He's like pulling me, and I look up, and there's a guy, and where I live, there's no reason someone should be near my car.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, unless it's a delivery truck driving all the way down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm like, this guy is literally all over my car. And as soon as he saw me, he like put his head down, ran to his car. Yeah. And I like ran back into the house to grab my phone because I wanted to get video. You know what I mean? And he was gone.
I would have ran back to change my pants.
He literally ran.
That would have scared the shit out of me.
It was a Jeep. It was like a black Jeep. I don't know. Like this is the stuff we all have to deal with, unfortunately. You just don't know when some crazy's going to show up, unfortunately. And when you're in Canton, it's like much more next level.
Well, it's because the tensions are surrounding you at all times. All the characters are within your proximity. Like it's not, I can't drive through the center of town and not see all the Canton cops. So
yeah, I feel like that even just the couple times I've driven in there and gone in there. It's like I feel like
I just wave.
Yeah.
I say hi.
You could definitely feel
friendliest citizen Canton has.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had the 2 pickup trucks rev outside my house. I had beeped and waved at you yesterday in the center. Oh, why thank you. But what was I saying? Oh, the 2 pickup trucks revving in front of my house. I had the threat at the STM meeting where the citizen, the fellow citizen made gun gestures at me. So, this one is one of my favorite to talk about because it also involves my favorite select board member, Chris Albert. We have so much in common. It's crazy. So we both got scared from other citizens, and we have really similar stories, except his was taken very seriously and mine was chalked up as a joke. But his situation is an actual community in on a joke against him. It's not an individual human being harassing him. It's an entire community. So if you're coming for Rich, you're coming for all of us. Friendly reminder. And mine was an actual citizen against citizen with a history of inappropriate behavior between the 2 families. I felt threatened standing in a room full of cops. The chief of police 2 rows in front of me. The asshole throwing up gun gestures 2 rows in front of me, and surrounded by all of the McAlberts and their favorite townies. Wall full of cops. Not a single person flinched when he did this. I was told I was out of order when I told the room what was happening. When the chief of police reviewed the video, which I still haven't seen, I'm sure Chris Albert has seen all of the video that was turned in order to write up that 36-page police report. I mean, I think that probably broke records in Canton for pages in a police report, right? I bet it did. He's probably on the wall right now.
Like, broke a record for us. This show right here. Like we've been.
When it comes to police reports in Canton, I thought the maximum amount of pages was 4.
I think we got 4 pages on our show in that police report. Like we've been mentioned in government reports in the past, but never like transcribed so in depth.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much time they spent watching my live stream to find Rich.
Oh, I know.
mean, that's I just wonder how many videos they watched, like beyond my show, like how many other creators were they watching trying to find Rich? It just really, and the amount of cameras that they pulled,
Yeah.
the trash
of
that they
them.
pulled, the warrants that they filed for the stickers. I mean, it just how many hours and how much time they spent on this of all things, when they could have just said, "Hey, Rich, stop putting out stickers. Rich, we're gonna fine you civilly like $1,000 if you don't stop."
Yeah.
Like, do you think that they could have done this differently and still kind of please the McAlberts a little and please Chris Albert? Do you think they could have done it differently? What do you think, Jen?
I don't think that anything different would have pleased the McAlberts at all. I think that this is the way they strike back. They use law enforcement to strike back. And that's the scariest part. And they get away with it. Like, when they don't like you, they thug up. Like, they are thugs that have badges and guns. Like, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, they're proving it repeatedly. They're using their badge in order to intimidate citizens, or they're using their badge in order to not investigate actual crimes that are happening on their citizens who are actively using their First Amendment right and actively trying to change their local governance for the better and bring out to light the local corruption that is killing people. Like, we're not talking one body, people. It is so much bigger. Like, we were rattling off 12 bodies the other day at a select board meeting, just off the top, and at the audit meeting, when they were like, "Whatever do you mean?" We're like, "We got 12. We can tell you 12. That's gross. And their reaction was nothing. And that's even grosser. They don't care about their citizens. I can't stress it enough. Like, the police actively don't give a fuck about the fucking random citizen. That's where we're at in Canton, Massachusetts. I mean, sitting today with two women discussing a situation of a young man who was in a psychotic episode. They called the non-emergency 911 line, or non-emergency police line, to report it, and asked specifically to have individuals who were trained in this manner to please report. That it was really important because he was in an episode. They did their part. They informed those officers what they were coming in on. They asked them to send the appropriate people. They showed up with 6 officers. 6. 6 officers did not know how to handle this psychotic episode. 6 officers brutally injured this young 21-year-old man who is in an episode, who is at the mercy of their good judgment. They're not good guys, Helena Rafferty. They're reckless assholes running around hurting the citizens in Canton, Massachusetts. Either you haven't trained them or you've told them it doesn't matter, but you're responsible. They learn from you. You chose to be the boss. You chose to be head bitch. You're sucking at it.
What do you think Helena Rafferty should do? What's your advice?
I think she should resign first and foremost for the integrity of our entire town. She should just step down. She won't do that, though, will she?
No.
The select board should just fire her. She's a danger to your community. You have citizens who are being threatened enough that they have meetings with the FBI, sit-downs. That's how serious the allegations are. Actual come into our office and sit and meet with us. It will be recorded, Helena. You know what I'm talking about. She's dumb. She's a danger. This is to the select board. Do your job. Take care of your citizens. Get rid of the danger. Get rid of the risk. Get rid of the fucking liability if you want to take a approach from a business approach. She's a liability. And the top ranking officers in our department, they're a liability. The ones you just promoted, they're a liability. They're rogue. They're done. They don't respect their citizens. They're the boss. That's not the case, people. That's not the way America is set up. They are not the actual bosses. They are simply there to uphold the law. They can't even do that. So either she's not training them or they just don't give a fuck. One or the other. You can't have it both ways. You can't just say they don't know how to do their job and they're endangering citizens. This poor child, this 21-year-old man who is out of his mind. Sorry, I have fruit flies from a rotten banana. I'll just be upfront with it because there's going to be this.
I get those in my house and I get the blame for them. Like, I like them ripe. You know what I mean?
I forgot the fruit was in here. It was my fault.
That's all right.
But yeah, so she's a liability. Her department is a liability. She is allowing citizens to her police department after being on video walking out of Chris Albert's pizza shop, starting with me, Miss Jeannie, Janine, Jillabine. I don't give a fuck what your name is. You're Mike Higgins' wife in my brain, and you're trash. So she started with me. She came up, hello, Jennifer, like the little troll she is. And I said, hey, Janine. And I don't think that's her name. And she got angry. And then someone said, who is that? I said, it's Mike Higgins' wife. She then told the cop that I was trash talking her marriage. She said I was aggressive. I have been harassing her. I haven't. I blocked her on social media back in October.
That's funny.
And like I'll totally admit, I went toe to toe with her on social media. It was kind of fun for a little while. Then her whole family, her husband, her mother-in-law, and her were like tag teaming me. And I'm like, this is weird. This is like an Eminem song. Like, I got to back off. This is trailer trash. This is not working for me. This feels unsafe. So I blocked all of them. Mike Higgins figured out how to find me on all the other social media platforms because he's a psycho and started following me around, but he wouldn't like just go directly to me on like Twitter. He'd find me underneath commenting on something and then start trash talking me underneath my comment. But he'd go like really deep and say like really nasty things.
Sounds familiar.
That's why I don't go on Twitter. I'm like,
yeah, it sounds familiar because you know that Mike Higgins, I blocked him too.
He's toxic. He's so mean.
Yeah. And you know how I mentioned the voicemails I've been getting? I got one late last night. He's my number one suspect on that. I want Mike Higgins' voice because I think it's him. I think it might be Mike Higgins. He's my actual number one suspect of harassment towards me. And you know what, Mike? If it is you, Mike Higgins, or whoever it is, I'm not a punk. I don't call the police about your stupid voicemails. Yeah. I just put them on my show and have fun. And I'm going to enjoy exposing whoever it is in the long run. I mean, that's the fun of it. Like, and the fact is, like these people are such babies. They're not tough. They act like they're tough, but they're not. They're not tough. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of any of them.
No. I mean, I have a couple that make me nervous. I'm not like, they do make me nervous. But I'm not like afraid of them. Like I won't stop talking because I'm afraid they're going to come for me. Like that's not happening. Like I'm in it to the finish line at this point. Like that's in my brain. There's no turning this off at this point. Like I couldn't if I tried. To be quite honest.
Let's talk about another name that came up because I've been doing some research on this guy, and he's the top, like one of the top paid employees. Not, the cops are obviously, top employees in terms of payment, but he's a finance director. He's got a checkered past from Foxboro. And I've been even talking to some of the citizens from Foxboro because I was trying to figure out like what was the issue, because there was something that got covered up with this finance director in Foxboro. Yeah. And what I found out is it wasn't anything sexual. There was no sexual angle to it. It's that this guy just treats people who he thinks that are below him, mostly underlings, people who are subordinate to him at work, and especially women. But if you're like this one woman came and testified in Foxboro, Randy treats me great because she was on the, she was on the select board. So if you're above Randy and you're a woman, he'll treat you well. Play ball. But if you're below him in social status or monetary, he treats them like crap, and he's been abusive. Yeah. We've seen how abusive he is in Canton. He got asked to leave a meeting. They basically kicked him out of his meeting that he basically appointed three of the, basically in all practical purposes, he predicted, he appointed three of the five members, and they still kicked him out because he was so obnoxious. His own people kicked him out.
Well, they had to do that because otherwise they were opening themselves legally. Like they have enough.
What do you think about Randy, though? Let's talk about Randy.
Like, we just kicked Rita out. Like, he needs to go for the same reason at this point.
What about Randy, though? Let's talk about Randy. What do you think about this guy? Tell us about him, because I have a feeling you've had some issues with him.
Horrible. I think he's disgusting. I think the way that he speaks to people is disgusting. He doesn't have any respect ever. Like, it doesn't matter who I've seen him talk, unless he's presenting at the select board, like you said, like performing for the people. Like, his just regular demeanor is just a nasty, nasty man, not an enjoyable human being.
Now, I hear he's good with money in terms of the numbers and all that. He's just not good at being nice to people. But I don't trust his judgment with money now. I'm a money guy. I used to manage money. I save money. I'm a money guy. I like business. This guy, I mean, if he's supposed to be the money guy and he's looking at risk, why would he point Bob McCarthy, who likes to yell at people? He doesn't bring people together. There's no way Bob McCarthy's going to bring two sides together.
Bob
McCarthy is the opposite of that. Why did Randy pick Bob, do you think, knowing that Randy's supposed to be a smart guy?
Because he was told, So you need to stop giving them more credit than they deserve. Randy doesn't deserve the credit that you're giving him right now.
I'm going on what people told me. Listen, John. I'm not giving him credit. I'm going by what people from Foxboro who worked with him and knew him. They said he's a good manager of the numbers. He's good at the numbers, but he sucks at people. That's what they told me.
Yeah. But you asked why
a guy that's supposed to be a guy, like a money guy. For me, any money guy I'm around thinks about risk. They think about the risks of the town. He picked Bob McCarthy.
Why did he choose those three people? He didn't choose those three people. He was told who to choose. You're giving him credit like he had the brain thoughts to be like, let me look through the town and see who the best individuals are. No, they were already cherry picked. When the whole audit was going through, that committee was already picked. They were already a step ahead of us. We were warned that they were steps ahead of us. Like, it shouldn't be surprising anyone that it's rigged. It really shouldn't be surprising anybody that it's rigged. Like, we've seen it happening right in front of our eyes every step of the way. So now we just have to readjust and figure out the new game plan. And that's to yank the audit that was out there. I mean, tomorrow, I guess they're going to present the bids, but it's going to be a joke. What bid's going to come in that's going to have any dignity to it when we've already been explained by multiple people that the way that it's written is hodgepodge and no one wants to touch it because it'll look bad or put them in legal liability. It was presented that way on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're being advised by lawyers.
Now, the three people that were selected by Randy, do you think that their intent was to make this a fiasco, like from the beginning. Like, because I still
Yeah.
can't figure out why they picked these people, especially Bob. He's the biggest
Yeah.
flamethrower.
Oh my God.
Do you think
I
they
think
did that
honestly, I
to
think
make it a
it's
mess? To like, get more drama? Like, why would they pick him? I
no,
still don't get it.
they don't think like that. They think like, oh, this is a really it's always a good guy, which means this guy knows my secrets and I owe him a favor, and let's give him this position, or he's somewhat qualified, but he's one of the good guys. He'll back us. Like whatever we tell him to do, he's going to do. Let's put him in. So like we're giving these individuals the qualifications like they deserve to be sitting on this board. They do not. They are not qualified. Just because one has a doctrine does not make that individual intelligent. He proved that in the last audit meeting.
So
We do not have individuals that have dignity. They don't have character. They don't have honor. They think they have loyalty. It's stupidity. They are making themselves look like arrogant, egotistical, chauvinistic pigs across the country.
So
they're
funny.
Okay with that. Why? Why are you okay with that? Why can't you start thinking for yourself and start making decisions that are in the best interest of moving this process along so that it can be done with? Like, it would be in the best interest to move the process along in the proper manner so that it can be done with. Everyone wants that, except for the individuals who know what's going to come out. Their worst nightmare is this audit moving forward the way that it should. They're going to fight it tooth and nail. They're going to keep figuring out how to put in something that's going to make it start all over again until everyone keeps calling them out. And then they'll be like, all right, plan B. That's what they're going to do. That's what their job is. I mean, and clearly in the town of Canton, when you get appointed to a board, learning Robert's rules, when you are the ones who are going to be opening the town to, what's that word? Liability. You don't even know how to run a meeting. You just exited the room with a quorum. You just, half your meeting just left the room and left the citizens with the other two sitting there like, when you're done, let us know where we're going in life. No, it's not how it works. That's not what this particular meeting is all about. But you guys don't even they don't even know the basics.
That's so true. I brought
they
that
did
up
it
in
on
the last
camera.
show. Yeah. It's like that Dr. Muse guy. He's supposed to be the smart one. And I'm like, this guy doesn't even know the basics, and he's put himself on camera.
Yeah. They're like, we're businessmen. Your businesses must suck. Because, wow. Or you employ people who are way more intelligent than you are, and they are keeping your company afloat.
Let me ask you that, because these boards, like, I would think that most boards in most towns present them when you've been appointed with even like just a one sheet or an email that says, look, these are the basic rules you want to follow. And one of them is don't have a public meeting that isn't public. You know what I mean? Like, don't have a secret meeting. Like, that's like one of the most basic things that we all know.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, Dave Clow was sitting there going, this is illegal what you're doing.
Yes. Right,
and I don't think the three guys realized. I mean, Bob McCarthy's like, I'm such a veteran of procurement. Yeah, I don't think they knew that what they were doing was like illegal. Like, it's how does that happen?
They had no idea. That's what that's what's appalling. And meanwhile, it's happening while we're sitting there and calling the select, or at least I am, calling the select board out on Robert's rules. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, you have to sit back down and you have to wait your turn. Ethics, you have to sit down. You're not allowed to vote. You have to leave the room while this discussion's happening. Like, they don't know the basic rules to Robert's rules. And then they appoint these three assholes onto the board who are chauvinistic pigs, just sent to, I don't know, be themselves in all their glory.
I mean, I gotta say, I don't think all three of them are like pigs. I don't. I mean, I think there's that one guy.
Show me like a single one that stood up and said, stop what you're doing. You're performing sexual discrimination right now.
I think that's a lack of backbone. Like, there's that one guy who's a former police officer. He doesn't seem like a prick to me. He just seems like he goes along with them. I mean, even when there was that fallout the other night, he kind of moved forward to the other group, and you could tell he wanted to talk to them. Like he was uncomfortable. I feel like that one former police officer, I think he just goes along with them.
So like he's complicit, and in my brain, he's just as bad as everyone else. He's just as bad as Bob. If I'm in an alley and someone's attacking me, he's not going to come to my honor. He's not going to come fucking save me. So being spineless, you're a pig. Sorry. Bro is fine. Get a conscience. Figure it the fuck out. Be a decent human being.
Someone said a useful idiot.
Yeah, he is.
I want to thank our moderator.
They're doing what they're supposed to do. And if they're not, then by all means, start conducting that meeting accordingly and proving me wrong. I love being proved wrong. I love when people feel they have the opportunity to say, I told you so. I'm totally fine with that. I'm okay with that because I'm willing to learn and move forward with a new outlook. These guys are stuck in 1950. They haven't moved forward in like 74 years. It's a big time.
Someone said, Scott says, Mike, try to step it back. Too funny. You're not changing Jen's mind, Mike. Yeah, you know what? I'm not trying to change her mind. I'm trying to speak for myself if I can on my show, Scott. I mean, that's it. I like to say if I don't agree with one of my guests, just so people know.
Definitely.
Because I don't want to be labeled that I'm, it's just I have a different viewpoint. Totally fair.
Yeah. So after hearing the story today that I heard and seeing and hearing this woman say that she regretted calling the police and asking for help because she put her person in that situation, I'm very specifically not trying to be too like, it will all come out once we have the paperwork, but they made the phone call that put this individual in harm's way, and they're carrying that around right now, and they feel horrible about that. So there were 6 officers there. At any given point, someone could have taken the lead and said, I've got this. No one do anything. We're not hurting this individual. They need our help. Not like they're not putting anyone in danger. They're fighting themselves right now. Like help themselves through this process. They didn't do that. They once again, just like at the select board meeting, when that cop put hands on me and the select board sat there and allowed it and didn't adjourn the meeting to relieve tensions when they should have, because that's proper Robert's rule. Not 3 of you leave the room. All 5 of you adjourn the meeting, leave, come back in and restart. That's proper Robert's rules. Catch up.
I can't believe they don't know.
Do that. And that cop put hands on me when he should not have. It was the definition of assault. It is assault, people. The cops that put hands on that individual, at the end of the day, it was assault. It was excessive force. At no point was that individual told you were being placed under arrest. There were witnesses. That was not said. It was excessive force, and 6 individuals who have badges and guns thugged him to the ground and harmed him when he needed them to guide him through the episode. So if you can't train your men how to do their job, then you better make sure they have the resources to call to have their back so they don't put us in a lawsuit. Rafferty. Sorry, I have a lot of opinions towards Rafferty right now. Yeah, 100% assault on this individual and on me. It's assault. Not even to mention, Chris Albert seems to think he can send his little thugs out back into the street to leave me and go down to the police station and charge me with harassment. That's falsifying a police report against me, Dennis Sweeney had the same thing happen to him. When the police showed up, and Dennis has it all on camera, they're sitting there saying, he harasses my mother. Dennis doesn't even know who that woman is. He doesn't even know who that man is. There was no harassment. I don't even know this woman's real friggin' name because I blocked her back in October. She keeps approaching me. She's harassing me. I have it all on video of her approaching me. She's falsifying. She's weaponizing the police department against me.
Have you been charged with anything? Have they?
No, they said, we're not going to, once they heard my side of it, he's like, obviously we're not going to charge you with anything. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But like, I hope you're going to charge her because she just falsified a police report. I have witnesses on every single thing. I can name the days I've seen this woman because that's how often I see her because I don't give a fuck about her. I'm not harassing her. She's a comical punt in like a group chat. She comes up in a group chat because she's a comical pun. Because she's that much of a joke. Like, stop. There's no harassment. I don't even have harassment in me, quite frankly. I don't. I wish I did. That would probably be fun.
I wonder why they didn't pull any cameras, pull trash, issue subpoenas for that false police report.
Oh, I mean, I asked the officer when exactly, right? Because it's me. But like, I asked the officer, I go, isn't it illegal to falsify a police report? And he's like, you've answered all the questions. And I'm like, so I do know it's illegal. So that's fine. You don't have to answer my question. He couldn't get off the phone quick enough. Like, so she falsified it. Like, you heard my story. You know that I can prove that what she's saying is a lie. And I just told you that she walked out of Chris Albert's pizza shop because I was protesting there, approached me, and then walked down, like drove down to you guys. I have the timeline for crying out loud. It's not any more apparent that Chris told her to go fuck with me. Like, wise up. They can't even be bad guys smart. They're too stupid to do that. How about you wait till the next day, Jeannie, Janine, whatever the hell your name is? You're Mike Higgins' wife. That's it. That's all you are to me.
Peter Murphy says, retired police Sergeant Peter Murphy has been cautioned. Don't come into Canton. There's a target on your back.
Oh, yeah. And we think that Cowboy fan is Chris Albert. I can't prove that, but we think that that's Chris Albert. Allegedly, Chris Albert.
It's funny how they claim they're victims, but then they come out and they engage with people.
So, okay.
They don't look scared to me.
Situation reaction. Ready? Rubber ducky. Chris comes out, curses a woman out, degrades her, threatens physical violence towards her. She gets charged. She put a rubber ducky on a bench. Like, in FYI, Chris Albert, you don't own that bench. It's a public bench.
Is she getting charged with witness intimidation too?
I don't know if she's been charged with it yet, but she's being questioned regarding. Yeah.
I hope she has an attorney and doesn't talk to them.
Oh, no one should talk to any of them. Like, tell them to fuck off. That attorneys need to be at the table. There's no I'm dead serious. There's no good guys right now. And I know you feel differently, and that's totally fine. But as far as in Canton, or if you're associated with this, there's no good cop that's knocking on your door if they're coming to ask you questions about what's going on right now. If they're there as a Chris Albert messenger for witness intimidation, they don't have good intentions at your door. They're not there to really figure out what's going on. They're there to involve you in something that's dirty.
Now there's fundraiser going on too. I think people should be donating to people
to
who are in
Rich?
charge. Yeah, well, I'm not
Yeah,
sure if Rich is in on that, but
he is.
this Jennifer Altman has done a fundraiser.
Uh,
I think it's for everybody who gets charged if they need the, support. I'm sure if Rich needs it, he'll get some money from that fund.
mm,
But it's for basically everybody else that's been, because there's a lot of
yeah,
people being targeted,
yeah,
harassed, and charged. So I definitely suggest people donate there if you can. We've been sharing the link. I
yeah,
don't know if it's in our chat tonight. I'll look around and see if it's there. If it is, we'll definitely post it up. But I
yeah,
hope people are donating to the Turtle Boy Defense Fund, the Karen Reed Defense Fund, and now this new defense fund for all the other people who are also being charged with things like witness intimidation, which is it's way out of line what they're doing.
yeah.
Oh, I guess there is a separate GoFundMe. I guess you're
There
right
is
because
for Rich.
so there's a fourth fund. So there's multiple funds. So people I hope you're considering donating to some of these funds.
I donated to Rich's yesterday, and then I think I posted the. Oh no, I'm gonna post the link for that on my page today. I mean, not that I have a lot of people, but
Yeah,
just to
I'm not sure if this is the one. Here it is. M's got it. I'm gonna pin it in our chat. Is this the Rich one or is this the other one? Let me look.
Rich is a GoFundMe.
Okay, this is the Give Send Go. So this is the one that Jennifer Altman created. This is for everybody else too as well. So we'll find the Rich one. I didn't even see the Rich one yet. So I guess that's brand new. Rich's GoFundMe. Awesome. I hope people are donating. I want to ask about Kevin Albert.
What about him?
He's back on the job. Well, how do you think about how they handle that in terms of the select board and Chief Rafferty?
I get to quote one of my favorite individuals right now. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. He got a paid summer vacation, and then he has to work shifts where he doesn't get paid. Like, no, thank you. And then he's working details where they get like overpaid. Like, nope. It's gross. Yeah. He got the summer off. And then when he came back, his punishment was just a few shifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone said they saw him on 3 details last week.
Yeah. It's gross. Like they don't care. They don't even pretend to care. Like that's not okay. When they were researching the balloons that were put on our yards, I had to tell Chief Rafferty to send someone to come ask people who have Ring doorbells if they have footage so that we could try to get a different angle of the car that did it so we could get a license plate. They walked around in the middle of the day during a work week. So like chances are most people won't be home. Dropped a business card with a note that said, "Have you noticed anything suspicious? If so, please contact." Not, could you pull footage from this date, from this time to this time? Like it was 2 months later at this point. 2 fucking months later. They had the video for 2 months and they never thought we should send someone to look at that. For the last 6 months, they've been getting all their friends videos from their like restaurants and, local businesses that are just really willing to step up to the plate and make sure that their select board member feels safe from the duck invasion. Get a fucking grip, Chris. Get a grip. You are a laughingstock of an entire country. Other countries make fun of you.
Howie Kai's having fun on it. Look at that. They got the little duck.
You know.
This is in trouble. You get in big trouble. This is what they wrote in the police report about the duck I got. Yeah.
It is.
A comment, Mike, do you want to sign the frame for the Free Karen Reed giveaway? I'd love to sign it. You just have to get it to me. I don't know how you would, Dina, but I would love to sign it, definitely.
How have you not signed it yet? That's crazy.
I'm not out that much. I you know me. I'm always working.
Yeah. All right.
If I'm not doing a show, I'm walking dogs up here.
There you go.
What are your final thoughts tonight? Because I do have another guest that's about to pop on here as
Sure.
well.
Just to keep encouraging, since I started going live, I've had 2 citizens step up and report what's happening to them and go to the police and say that they're being harassed and other things. And then we've had the citizen come forward today with their story. So please, if you don't feel safe coming forward, then just reach out to myself and I'll help you come forward. I'll help as to the best that I can, guide you through the process and help with a voice, either speak on your behalf or help you figure out what you want to say. So I'm here and I genuinely mean it. We are safer in numbers. And the more people, especially, I know it's really hard for townies to do this, but the more townies that step up, the better chance we have because it's making a difference. There are people that are within power that are noticing, and that's good. Like, we need to stay united because if we don't, then you're leaving me in danger. You're leaving your neighbor in danger, and they get away with it and they're going to keep doing it and they're going to get bolder and bolder. And one of us is really going to get hurt. So I'm begging and pleading for other citizens to keep stepping up and saying no more. We're taking our town back. This is our time to take our town back. So I need their help and be there for the audit meeting tomorrow night because this is disgusting. Bob McCarthy needs to be out and our voice needs to be heard. No more. We're done. We're taking our town back. So those are my final thoughts. That, and I hope everyone had a great weekend and has a wonderful upcoming week.
Thank you, Jen, and hope you have a great week yourself. And thank you for coming and spending some time with us on Sunday night.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Have a great night.
All right. Bye.
All right. That was Jennifer O'Donnell. She's a Canton resident. She had a lot to say tonight. You might have heard some of it. I'm just checking my Bluetooth. All right. Is that set up? I think it is. I wanted to take some calls actually with Jen, but I kind of ran out of time. I saw Danny here and maybe another night. Maybe we will take some calls anyways tonight. We're not going to get off Canton. I am going to talk to Danny about some other things right now, but I want to see if I can play these voicemails. Why don't you hear some of the voicemails I've been getting? This clown. Let me see if I can, hold on. Let me try playing this one. You know, I'm going to put it up to the microphone because I don't think it's coming through the Bluetooth for some reason. Damn it. Let me know if you can hear this. This one's from August. He called again last night. There we go. Hold on. Come on. Now it won't play. There we go.
You're a professional dog walker. You got fucking 5 empty cans of peanut butter up in your cupboard. Listen, Beethoven's father called. Stop molesting his dogs, bro.
He sounded a little scared at the end there. Then last night, that message was 25 seconds long. So he played tough guy for like 20 seconds, and he kind of sounded like he was scared in the last 5 seconds. Last night, at 1:54 a.m., he decided to call the same joker. And 6 seconds, this is what I'm expecting. And you could tell, like, when someone calls you at 1:54 a.m. on a Saturday night, I'm guessing they don't have much of a life. I'm just guessing. Like, put it on speaker. Yeah, I had it on speaker. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's try it again. This is the other one.
You still walking dogs?
You hear that one? Yeah. I'm gonna upload these to YouTube later tonight. I'm going to put them both together. I'm going to make a little video. So check that out a little later on YouTube. If it didn't come out very good tonight, you're going to get to hear it clear. But this is what we're dealing with. You get this kind of threats all the time. Someone said drunk. Yeah, he's got beer balls. So it says that's not Mike Higgins. Good. Maybe it's not. Liquid courage. All right, let's bring Danny up. I'm going to bring up Danny right now. Danny is a whistleblower. There was a young woman that died at 27 years old, Lorna McMurray. She died at a True Leaf dispensary a couple years ago. When I discovered it, I had the family on the show right away and discussing it. And I discovered Danny, who had worked with her, and he had actually been responsible for helping Lorna get the position at True Leaf. He used to give her rides home. Then he left True Leaf, and then Lorna passed away at work, unfortunately. And it shouldn't have happened. She got taken out in 2 different ambulance rides. And Danny has really made the safety of cannabis workers a priority. And it's something that needs to happen in the state. And it's something that I know all about because I had dozens of cannabis workers come on my show before I had even met Danny. And they predicted someone was going to die. Someone is going to die at one of these manufacturing sites. And then Lorna actually did die. And Danny and I kind of created a campaign, a movement that kind of went international. I mean, it went all over the nation. It got picked up. And he's been working on it. I kind of, because of the Karen Reed stuff and just how, at a certain point I got so frustrated. I was getting so angry because of the lack of the response from the state, the Cannabis Control Commission specifically, who weren't doing anything about it. I needed a break, and I found the Karen Reed case, and I've been running with that ever since. But Danny's continued to organize the workers. And recently, what I've noticed at the Cannabis Control Commission, and I got to say, I got to give a tip of the hat to Shannon O'Brien, because they took Shannon O'Brien had a great reputation before she got involved with the Cannabis Control Commission. And then she tried to reform it. And she was talking to folks like myself a lot, and Danny too. And she recognized what the issues of the Cannabis Control Commission and specific individuals within the Cannabis Control Commission. And you could tell that she was looking to remove some of those people. And instead, they made up a bunch of bullshit about her and got her removed. And I got to say, our secretary, what is she? The treasurer, Goldberg, she's a piece of crap. She pretended to care about cannabis workers. Goldberg, she has not helped at all. She helped get rid of Shannon O'Brien. But thank God for Shannon O'Brien, because a lot of those people have been removed. And specifically, there was this testing guy, James Costas, that Danny and I had discovered had been testing the True Leaf product that killed Lorna. And we also discovered a conflict of interest where one of the testing companies that was testing for True Leaf and a lot of the other dispensaries, we felt like they were cheating. We were pretty sure of it. We couldn't prove it. But then we found something that proved that they definitely were breaking the law. And basically what they did, this testing company, is that there's a law that if you test cannabis for a testing company, your fellow relative can't work for one of the companies that you're testing at. It's illegal. It's illegal and basically what it was is her husband was the chief cultivator at True Leaf at the location where Lorna died. And she was independently testing the product. So there was a huge conflict of interest that was illegal. I exposed it on this show. And recently I've come to find out that the lady has fled the state, that the head testing person at the Cannabis Control Commission is no longer there. There's a guy named Cedric who's no longer there. There's a guy named Sean Collins, the executive director, that I banged over and over. We got to get this guy out. He's out. They're all out. So tonight, this is a little bit of a victory lap. for Danny and I, because we've been working on this for a long time and it seemed hopeless. But I think things may be starting to happen. And we have seen this before. There's been a lot of ups and downs. The media finally picked up on it. And at a certain point, the Boston Globe, who was ignoring it, all of a sudden championed it and put my show up specifically and said, look at the, Mike Crawford is right, is basically what the Globe finally said after I bashed them for over a year about not doing anything about this. So there have been some ups and downs on this, but I feel like we're going strong on this. And I'm really happy that Danny's here tonight. And Danny is hosting an event for workers. If you're a cannabis worker, if you know any cannabis workers, especially in the cultivation, you got to get them to talk to Danny. Danny's hosting a party. It's out in Western Mass. And Danny's putting all the money together. This is not something that's going to be cheap. Danny is spending money for this, because he wants to organize the workers. He wants to give the workers a platform where they're not dying on the job. And people say, how can you die at a cannabis facility? It's very easy. The stuff gets all in the air. It gets dried. And if you don't have proper ventilation, if you don't have a company that cares about their workers, workers get sick. They get rashes. They have breathing issues. And there's all kinds of evidence on this. We've gotten OSHA involved. We've got the federal government, NIOSH involved. We've got a nonprofit here in Massachusetts involved. We got unions involved. And Danny is organizing and working with a bunch of different stakeholders. But we need more cannabis workers to join this movement. And a lot of the cannabis workers are afraid. So that's what this is about tonight. Empowering cannabis workers. We're going to talk to Danny for a quick bit. And maybe I'll take some of your phone calls tonight too. Maybe open lines. You can talk about anything you want. But let's bring up Danny right now. Welcome back to the show, Danny Carson. How you doing tonight?
Hi, good to see you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You got a little background noise. What's going on over there?
Let me try and work on that.
Okay. Well, I can go on a rant and I'll bring you back up. How's that? Is there something like in the background,
great.
like a fan or something going on? AC, I can hear it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll bring you back up in 1
Make
second.
that.
We'll see if you can go fix that. I know people saying, Danny, great job. Danny has done great work. Everyone's saying, welcome, Danny. Let's get Danny back up here in a second. All right, Danny's ready. Let's see if the background noise is gone. How you doing now?
All right, you should be able to hear me clearer now.
Much better. That was a quick
Awesome.
fix. Thank you so much for fixing that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, great to see you, Mike. I appreciate the intro into this. We've definitely been, it's been a while since we talked, and there's a lot of things in the works that I'd love to update you on, and really want to share. Any past cannabis workers are also free to come to this party. I know there's a lot of people that get fired constantly, and I'm one of them who's like blacklisted from the market and can't even work in cannabis even if I wanted to. So, if you're a worker, you have an experience to share, I want you to come to this party. I want you to talk to other workers and network. And so, yeah, thanks so much for that.
And where, and how can people go to this party if they're a cannabis worker?
Yeah, you don't need to bring your agent ID. It's going to be in Hardwick, Massachusetts, and you can find more information out at Instagram. Search Cannabis Worker Party. That is our handle on Instagram, and you'll get all the information about it. You can also reach out to me on Instagram at Danny Massachusetts.
At Danny Massachusetts on Instagram.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, because our mods are good. They'll try to link that up. I'm going to look that up right now to give us some of the updates. What's been, because I haven't been following like I used to. Well, actually, Instagram.com. Say that again. What was the tag?
Danny Massachusetts. DANNY Massachusetts.
Okay. And what are the latest updates? What's actually going on at the Cannabis Control Commission? There's also something happening there right now too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on with people leaving. Right now, the commission, as it stands, is like the senior commissioners that are kind of left here are acting chair Stebbins and Kimberly Roy. Camargo is still there. Um, it's been really almost like really infuriating to listen to their meetings lately because it seems to be like they're even justifying like talking to and like having a working group around talking to the owners, the license companies to say, if you have an outdoor grow facility, what's your issues with passing your mold lab samples and things like that? And they're saying, of course, oh, it's so hard for us to pass these ridiculous lab samples that we have to pass all the time because we're an outdoor grow. And so mold is part of it. But it's like they have not opened the floor ever to listen to workers to say, like, if mold is part of it, then why are we not protected? Or why did they not tell us mold is part of it when we got hired here, you know? Um,
Yeah,
and
let's stop for a
so,
second because remember that. I'm glad you brought that up. I was going nuts on them, even with Shannon O'Brien. I was like, you gotta have a meeting. You gotta let the workers come in, like, because how many workers did I have on the show telling all the stories? They kept ignoring it.
right,
It's like they had like all these open houses, public comment for equity applicants and this applicant and that applicant, this business owner, but never anything for the workers.
right,
And they still won't do it even after all of this has transpired. It's just that's such a good point. Like I don't care actually. I think that they should probably lower the limits for the testing on outdoor grows. It's great. Do that. But you know what? Like you said, the most important thing before you even consider that is protect the workers so no other 27-year-old dies at the job. Like
right,
it's not
right,
hard to protect your workers. You have to, you know, care about the air, like, make sure there's good airflow, provide the protection that we talked about, the mask. But most important is people need to know the risk. Lorna had no idea what she was facing. Nobody told her, you know what, you could die at work over this breathing issue.
right,
She collapsed once, got taken out by an ambulance. They put her back in the same job and she collapsed again and died. It's like the people who were the managers, I don't even think were aware of the risk in some situations. I'm sure some of them are, but that's the problem. Nobody is talking about it. If you talk about it at work, you get fired, right? Pretty
right,
much. Like you become a
exactly.
problem. They want you out. Is that what happens when people talk about health and safety at a cannabis facility in Massachusetts?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% of the time. And in multiple different businesses, it's not like it's just True Leave and now they're gone and now cannabis is now fixed in Massachusetts. This is over every kind of license, every type. People are strapped for cash. They don't want to put any money towards increasing their safety precautions or any kind of training for workers. And it's a very, very sad affair because now you're left with these people who, just want to work and enjoy their job are have no idea. I mean, there's still people, workers that I talk to that have no idea about Lorna's story. And it's like, wouldn't that be one of the first things you learn when you walk into a place, especially like a like there was workers at True Leave who didn't know about Lorna after the fact. Like, I mean, a year and a half later, like, didn't know that Lorna had passed, and they were doing the same job Lorna did. That, I mean, we're just not learning from history at a certain point, and you need to be able to like step forward, and somebody has to do that. But I think the commission has been so silent on this, and they've given no empowerment to workers whatsoever from the beginning when they made the regulations without any safety precautions whatsoever. And now we have this culture that's, not safety forward and whatsoever. It's security forward, it's cash forward, but it's not safety thinking or anything first. I mean, all of these companies, it's almost like an afterthought or something. If they can do it, then they'll get to it. But this needs to be taken very seriously, as we can tell people can die from this and have died from this in our state. So
It's so
it's
funny
a
too.
tragedy.
You said it's like an afterthought. Um, Someone said no OSHA. OSHA has kind of gotten involved. I don't think they're strong enough, but the death of Lorna and a lot of what Danny and I did led OSHA to do a lot more. They're actually, ramping it up a little bit. I wish they would do more. Danny, you mentioned True Leaf. You and I went to war with True Leaf so much we drove them out of the state. They one of the biggest cannabis companies in the country from Florida that is wicked shady. They were the company that killed Lorna. They left the state, and I think that was like a great win for us when it happened. But I also think it kind of took the air out of a fight because a lot of people were like, True Leaf, True Leaf, True Leaf. But you and I know it's not just True Leaf. It's a lot of other places. Holistic Industries, another one that I exposed. I was the first one to post pictures from the employees and said, there's a problem
Oh,
here.
really?
There's mold at Holistic Industries. They got a hole in their ceiling. Water's dripping down. People are getting sick. They're not doing anything. And the state came
Right.
in,
Well,
the state investigators. This is what we're dealing with, folks, with the state. The state came in, they're investigators to examine the work and safety area for workers at this place where the workers are getting, $14 an hour. State investigators are probably getting 75 to 100 grand a year. They go into the place and say, hey, this is so dangerous. We can't inspect it. We have to do a virtual inspection. We can't send in anyone from the state because it's too risky to investigate this situation with the mold in the air. But guess what, folks? At the same time, we're just going to close the investigation and write up a little report and tell Holistic that you're going to fix this and everything's going to be fine. Hush, hush. Don't talk to Mike Crawford. Don't talk to Danny. Don't even talk to Shannon O'Brien, who's the chairperson. Like, they covered it up within their own, with their own hierarchy. And we knew that there was still an issue at Holistic Industries. And this week it came out that they were being fraudulent about the testing. They were being fraudulent about everything, about the whole thing that they agreed to do with the CCC. And the CCC just was like, whatever. We don't care. It's okay. It's just, if a worker dies at Holistic Industries, maybe we'll do something then. And they let it go on. And now it's been exposed again that there's a major mold issue at Holistic Industries. Employees are getting sick. They're the ones who told us, like, every single time I find, like, people are like, how do you find out, Mike, about this stuff before anyone else? There's one reason. The employees hit us up and say, hey, this is what's going on. Here's some pictures. We're not going to tell you who we are because we're afraid of our bosses. But it goes on and on and on. We see this all the time, don't we, Danny?
yeah, all the time. And what's really funny to me, Mike, is that I was just at Holistic trying to hand out flyers at their grow facility in Mass to hand out flyers for the Cannabis Worker Party. And the first time I went there, I was approached by their security guard as soon as I was about to go for the door, who like stepped out of the door in a really aggressive way. And I realized that he was like a contracted security guard. So not like employed by the company directly and wouldn't be considered like a cannabis worker by the state really. And he questioned, who I was, where I was from, why I wanted to host this party and all of these things. And I ended up, I gave him the flyer, but who knows? I'm sure he threw it in the trash. So the next day, I went and left a couple on their smoking area where all like the employees go to smoke their cigarettes during break times. And I parked down the street to see if the security guards would go and take them, and they did. And within a minute, they were out there grabbing those flyers to go and take them away. And that's how this kind of leadership operates. Is they have the target people that they won't like. They're protecting this whole health and safety issue thing. They don't want unions. They don't want any kind of communication. They want to run this because they want power and authority over these people who are literally just trying to work and make a living. And they're trying to like take away information from them. It's a cannabis worker party. It's a free I'm not asking, you know what I mean? That's nothing crazy that's going on, but they're still scared of it because it means that there's networking between cannabis workers. and they want to take that away from people. They don't want you to talk. And what you have to do is talk in order for us to make things better. And so that was just ironic to talk about holistic because, yeah, they're still at it.
I want to thank our moderators tonight. We got some great mods. Scott McGinnis I saw earlier. We also have MJ I saw in the chat, and Stephanie, who just posted. She had a question: is it where they grow or just sell? And I will say there have been some issues with some of the sales side dispensaries in terms of how they treat their employees and how the customers, especially the women, there's been a lot of abusive practices there. But really, what Danny and I are talking about is the grow facilities. You have these huge grow facilities with tons of plants, a lot of times in old buildings that were never intended to grow cannabis in. So they're leaky, they're humid. The weather here is humid in general. They don't have the proper ventilation. And the management are just jerks. They are just not caring about their employees. Like Lorna. I mean, Lorna, perfect example, 27 years old, never had any breathing issues, never had any rashes, any of that stuff until she started working at True Leaf. Then now this is a young woman that smoked cannabis. She used cannabis. It got so bad that she stopped using cannabis and she collapsed at work and she couldn't breathe at work. And they took her out by ambulance. For that Christmas, this is how tone deaf True Leaf was. They handed her cannabis buds that she couldn't smoke for Christmas as a Christmas present. She's posting on her Facebook about her trouble breathing and how it sucks that they gave her a Christmas bonus of cannabis, which she loves, but she can't smoke it anymore because she can't breathe because of the working conditions. And she talked about how badly it sucks to work at a place where they don't care about you. And then she collapsed the second time in January and she never came home. She died, 27 years old. And True Leaf, what did they do? They blamed it on Lorna. They said she had a pre-existing condition. They lied about her. And then Danny and the family said, Mike, take a look at these messages that Lorna posted on her Facebook page. So it's clear as day what was going on with Lorna McMurray. This is what's going on. People are getting sick at work and they're being gaslit. They're being told, oh, it must be a pre-existing condition. It must be your fault. You're always crying. You're always late. They are not caring about their employees. Is that correct, Danny? Anything I said that was wrong? Anything you want to add to that?
No, it's absolutely right. We're seeing it at every type of grow facility is where the biggest health and safety issues are, but also along the same route in dispensaries where you're having this type of leadership that's like aggressive, unhelpful, wants to limit what their employees can, have for information. I mean, one of the biggest things for me that working in a facility really opened my eyes is like consumers are able to go at any point when they want and ask for a certificate of analysis from the lab that processed that sample from that batch of weed. But workers, you work in a huge cultivation facility, you're working around all day long, you're breathing it in, and you don't have the authority to go to your supervisor right now and ask for that. If you did, you would probably get questioned of why you need it and are you with a union and all of the, you'd probably get fired for it, for asking for a certificate of analysis. But why don't workers have those same kind of rights? It's just very off balance in this kind of environment.
Someone said other unions for cannabis workers. There's UFCW and Teamsters are involved, but they've had a tough time. I mean, you and I both, Danny, have worked with UFCW especially on this, and I hear from the reps all the time how difficult it is and the tactics that these companies take to shut down the unions. Now, Danny's been through it. He tried to have some lunch at True Leaf. You brought a food truck, and they were doing all this crazy tactics to not let the workers go out and have a free lunch that day. I mean, they really discourage unions, most of these companies. I will say, like one of the companies, Air, who was they were Sierra Naturals at one point. They were like one of the big companies that actually said, okay, we're not going to block the union. Most of the companies spend a lot of money to make sure that the employees can't be unionized. I'll say that AYR didn't do that. They said, okay, you guys want to get unionized? You can be unionized. That's what companies should do. Unfortunately, most of them, especially in the cannabis space, don't do that. Is that correct, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish more of that there would be more that did. I think that people right now in the market don't see any, like, they're not required by the CCC to do anything that's helpful for workers. And so because of that, they don't see a union as something that's like like a valid option for them or would be helpful, or they maybe don't see it. It's also a young market too for workers, particularly. So like people like myself didn't have any experience with unions and were like very ignorant to what they would be doing to benefit, and didn't, so that also is a part of it too, that I think if we could get more information out to workers, then they would have a better understanding of what a union could do for them.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power on this. That's why Danny wants to have this party. Again, it's coming up in Hardwick, Massachusetts, a cannabis workers party. Danny's hosting. You're gonna have some food. Tell us about this. What's going on at this cannabis party?
Yeah, it's going to be held on a farm in Hardwick, Mass. Very, like beautiful goat farm, and it's got a huge barn in it that we've rented out to be able to have live music. We're going to have somebody there that's selling mocktails that are alcohol free for people to buy. But there's also free food, free appetizers, and desserts that are going to be great from local companies in the area, and there'll be kind of an indoor and outdoor space to enjoy and use cannabis products that you bring of your own, and just be with other people that are like-minded and get talking about whatever it is, to bond on and to network with. And I think it would be really one of the most beneficial things that workers could do is to get out there and meet other workers and talk
That's
about
it.
their
I was just gonna bring
experiences.
that up. I think the best thing about this is the network effect in terms of I think so many cannabis workers feel alone in their workplace because they can't talk to the other employees because they don't know who's going to snitch them out to management. And this is a way that you can create a network to back you up and someone you can talk to and get advice and learn from each other and back each other up. And there's just a good feeling when you have a group of people like this. So I think, this is be phenomenal if people show up. We posted your Instagram in the chat tonight. So I hope people are follow Danny. If you're interested in this, especially if you know a cannabis worker or you're a cannabis worker, but even if you're not, follow Danny and support what he's doing. Like the more people who follow and like and share his posts, the more likely he's going to reach the cannabis workers that he needs to. So please make sure if you're on Instagram that you hit the link on the super chat tonight. Let me make sure I got it up there. Let's click on it, make sure it works. I'm pulling it up now. I see Danny. We got the right one, Danny, Massachusetts. So perfect. I want people to please follow Danny on Instagram on this. You have a meeting coming up with there's like some more meetings coming up with the Cannabis Control Commission you've been organizing. I've been seeing the emails, but unfortunately I never get on the I never have time anymore to get on the video, the video chats that you do organizing. What's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on? What are you organizing right now with the Cannabis Control Commission? Because we mentioned that earlier. I was so frustrated by them. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to lose my shit. Like literally the stuff that they were doing and with the attack in Shannon O'Brien when she was the only one who seemed like she was sticking up for us and they threw the knife in her back. But it seems like,
Yeah.
Shannon O'Brien did her job. Like I know she like a lot of people don't get what happened to her, but I do. And I really feel like Shannon should be proud because she got rid of a lot of the bad wood there. She got a lot of the bad players are out of there. So I'm just wondering
Right.
what is going on over there because I haven't been following it enough. What's going on beyond? You mentioned earlier that they're trying to help the hemp farmers, but they still have not ever done an open line for the cannabis workers. I would love to see them. They have to. The Cannabis Control Commission owes Lorna, owes her family, owes the cannabis workers in the state an open forum to discuss the issues of the cannabis workplaces. They've been shutting that down. They wouldn't allow it. I'd say shame on Camargo, shame on what's the other one's name? There's a bunch of them. They have been covering up. I'm convinced of it. They enabled Sean Collins, who's gone, and I think he was kind of disgraceful and kind of a sack of shit. I'll just say that. I try not to swear, but he deserves it. All of them deserve it. What's next there? Are they ever going to do anything for workers at the Cannabis Control Commission?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask them about in about 10 days when I meet with them in person. I finally got a meeting with the sitting chair of the commission, which is Bruce Stebbins, and with Kimberly Roy, who were very welcoming of me reaching out and asking for an in-person meeting to talk about workers' health and safety. So I'm very hopeful that that meeting will be heard on their end as something that they can, give them some tangible steps that they can take to make things a little bit better for workers in the state right now, and also give them some ideas of like direction to go towards in the future. Because we've sent them suggestions, we've sent them recommendations twice on things that they can do regulatory wise that would make changes, that were heard by Shannon O'Brien, but were not ever able to be followed up on because of her leaving the commission. And so we kind of were just sitting there for a bit, like, who do we even go to now? And I think that these two, I'm fingers crossed that they're willing to listen and that they understand why this is important to start with, so that we can have some real meaningful conversation about what it can look like and why can't we have that open forum for workers? That would be the best opportunity for them to know exactly what's happening in their state. And if they want to be, something that other states look for to start their cannabis regulatory systems and things like that, they need to include workers in that. And if they don't, they'll never be the best out there. I mean, this is already being done in other states where workers have more rights than they do now, and more training and resources. And so I think it's a no-brainer for them to listen up very heavily now and to make changes, especially because Lorna, her investigation of her death has finally just come out from the CCC just a few months ago. That was very detailed report of investigation.
Finally.
And finally, it took over a year for that to come out. And so at this point, they're just sitting there knowing all of this information that they have put in this report, which is the fact that cannabis dust is a hazard in the workplace. It's a hazard in our state. And not only cannabis dust itself, but the toxins that it carries along on it. I mean, from all the mold issues. So with this on top of the bad leadership and, wanting to hide information from workers, it is a chaotic, Wild West environment that the CCC really needs to show up and take control of now.
Now, you mentioned Stebbins and Roy. I like
Yeah,
Roy. I think Roy's great. Stebbins, I like the guy. Sometimes I think he was a little weak. I hope he's strong on this one. I hope he's got a backbone, because I feel like sometimes he went with the flow a little too much. But I don't know. Maybe do they have the votes? Like, there's two of them. It seems like there's two of them who are interested in helping workers. Where are the rest of them? Where's Camargo? Like, where is the other one? There's two. There's four commissioners now. Is that how many there are right now? Four?
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm interested, even if, it's going to be like the same case, whereas we come to an agreement that, like, the hotline that was going to be put in by the executive director originally, that still I can't find anything on the website as something that
Yeah,
they've done
they made
ever.
promises to us. Remember they promised us the
Right.
hotline to O'Brien that was going to be
Yeah.
we didn't even want. We were like that's not going to help. Like that it's a little bit.
Right.
We'll take it, but we want a meeting. We want to but they wouldn't do it.
Right.
Now, so now you have two votes, let's say. Let's say that Bruce Stebbins and Roy really care about workers and the other two don't. The other two I'm convinced are just running for office. They want to be politicians. They want to take credit. I don't know why they don't take credit for the cannabis worker stuff. It may be because it's hard work. I don't know. Maybe they don't want. I mean, that's all I see them do. They show up and they do PR stuff. They speak to the Chamber of Commerce, but they don't actually speak to cannabis workers. They don't help cannabis workers. If it's a 2-2 vote, can anything happen? Like, how does this work in the Cannabis Control Commission? They're supposed to have 5 commissioners. They only have 4 now, right?
Right. So yeah, the chair is also a commissioner, so it's kind of weird. And there's like no executive director, so there's like an interim executive director. And yeah, it seems like all these people are very like transient, and maybe it's the perfect time for them to get on board with workers' health and safety because the executive director is no longer there and they've just understood things in the lab and more about holistic, and it seems like it could be a great opportunity for them to make some real change if everybody is on board for it, which I even in traditional manufacturing, in that world, I don't understand why anybody would not be on board for worker safety. It's like the thing that comes first in every other workforce I've ever worked for. And it's just like you have to dig in the dirt to find information on it here.
Yeah, and someone said a few people said, how much money has the state of Mass made off these grow facilities? It's huge. The amount of tax money that's being generated, and the state of Massachusetts too. The legislature, they haven't done shit. Like they had some meetings. They talked about we're going to take over the CCC. Oh, that was great to hear. It was great to hear them quoting the work that we did, Danny and I. But they still haven't done shit. Even like the legislators that are on our side. Like the amount of money that has been generated by cannabis workers and the lack of respect that the workers get. Someone else asked, like, what places can you suggest that I buy my cannabis from? Because I'm concerned about this. Well, that's the thing. They were asking which places are bad. I would just, if you're a consumer like I am, assume like Danny and I do, that any place you buy from is terrible until they prove otherwise. Like if I buy legal cannabis in Massachusetts, I buy from a company called River Run Gardens. The reason I buy from them is because I know the owner and I know that he treats his employees well. He pays more. He cares about the product. The product is much better. You can tell when you consume it. They're smaller. Like I would say smaller is generally better, and not in every case. I've heard abuses from some of the workers from smaller places too, but generally smaller is better in this industry. It should be the opposite. A bigger place should have more money to care about the workers, but apparently they don't. The smaller places like my buddy Ed, who's not making any money, who owns River Run, he really gives a shit about his workers. He's willing to pay himself a lot less. He makes almost no money. Like the owner is making and he works there, is making less than his workers. That's unheard of in this industry. He does it because he loves the plant. He loves his workers. I like River Run. That's one I recommend. I wish I had like a dozen others I could recommend, but it just doesn't exist. And the thing is, I've never heard an employee complain about River Run, but I've heard employees complain about dozens and dozens of other places. And a lot of the time, it's all the big names. It's Curaleaf. Someone said Panacea, Holistic, True Leaf, obviously. If it's a big company, they're probably not happy. I mean, is that the reality? How many places have you worked at now, Danny, before they blackballed you?
Yeah, I've worked at probably 6 or 7 in Massachusetts.
Were any good? Were any
And
of them good for employees?
No, the only one that I will recommend is in Holyoke, Mass. It's called Boston Bud Factory. I think they do a great job. They sell River Run Gardens product there on deli style. It's a great place. Also owner run. Like he's the one working he's the bud tender. He's the inventory guy. He's everything, and he's great. And their products are all great because they don't buy from shit companies that have terrible products and things. I'm not saying like pre-rolls that taste bad. I mean pre-rolls that have mold in them. Like you smoke them and you can tell that it's moldy. There you can definitely tell a difference. And um, I think that really what people can do is look for who's testing the product, if they can get the COA for it, if they really want to get in something that they want to smoke like religiously, every week, they're trying to find the right place and the right strain and things like that, they should look at who's testing it also. And if a tax seems like too high, like there's places that are selling pre-rolls that are like 41% TAC, and that's just, if it seems too good to be true, I feel like it is too good to be true, and the labs are doing something weird with that to make it seem even more appealing. Because if you grow your own weed, you know that you're not usually like pulling off buds that have 40% tac rates like that naturally. So it seems a little
Sketchy.
strange, and there's like, yeah, and so, like, or if, like, gummies give you a headache every time you have them, and you look on the back and see, like, their ethanol extraction, maybe you don't get ethanol extracted oil in your gummies anymore, and things like that to make a difference for yourself, because these problems that workers are having are definitely gonna come to consumers next.
Yeah, I gotta say to
So
people too, the consumers. So many consumers look at strains. They look at they're looking for a strain or they're looking for the high testing number. The thing that I look for, and the thing that you should all look for, the number one thing when you're purchasing cannabis in Massachusetts, who manufactured this? Who grew it? Who actually grew it? Where was it grown? And now the companies are like changing names because they try to cover up who's actually growing it. They don't want you to know. Someone asked about River Run. Where is River Run? Where can I buy it? River Run doesn't have any retail stores. Basically, what they are is a micro grow. They sell to the dispensaries, so you can find it in the dispensaries all across the state. Um, I would just make sure you know who's manufacturing your product. I think that's one of the biggest things. And a lot of times the dispensaries don't even list who's manufacturing the product. So that's something you should be asking the bud tenders. Say, hey, I want to shop here, but you don't even tell me who's manufacturing this product. Someone mentioned, Mike, do you ever go to Starbird Cannabis? I actually do. I like Starbird. One of the issues I have with them is they're a little expensive, I gotta admit. But one of the reasons I do love Starbird is because they always tell you who manufactured it. It's right there on the website. They're not playing games, and they're trying to get the best product. So, you know, the dispensaries themselves, you can kind of tell when you look at a dispensary and you see just all the big MSO brands. Generally, you can tell they don't give a shit. Like it's all about the money for them. If they're not carrying, the smaller brands like a River Run, that's why I love Starbird. They always have River Run. They're all Fine Fettle. That's actually a bigger company that's national. They have more of a selection, and they always tell you what the manufacturer is. So I think in retail as well, we got to start demanding that retail offers more information to the consumer. Got to know who's growing your plant. I mean, people ask why do I grow my own. This is the reason why I grow my own. That's exactly it. People used to grow their own to save money. Now it's like it's cheaper at the store, but why are we still growing our own? Because we want to know. We want to know what I grew my own this year. I had some issues, but at least I know what the issues are. You know what I mean? I know what's been done to the plant. We don't often know, and we don't know how the employees are being treated. So that's why a lot of people grow our own. Yeah, Fine Fettle is an MSO. They're a multi-state operator. But what I'm saying is at least they tell you who manufactures the product when you're going on their website. So I appreciate that from them. We could talk a lot more. I mean, there were some other things I wanted to talk about. It's James Casas. Remember this name, James Casas? He's the head of testing.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about him? He used to test for True Leaf, and then the Cannabis Control Commission hires him as their head of testing. And we found this obvious conflict of interest between the husband and wife tested the product at True Leaf, which was totally illegal, and then she fled the state and she went to Maine. What do you think about the whole testing thing and that Casas is out? We don't even know why. They don't tell us why. But I have a feeling it's because of what we revealed. I think that might have caught on a lot of the stuff that you and I exposed about the testing frauds. And I know there's some other great scientists involved now and educators. What do you think about James Casas? Now there's no testing director at the CCC right now. And the guy that we were, suspecting of not being the best guy is no longer there. And not only that, that company that we exposed, the analytics, whatever company there, that woman fled the state. She's in Maine now. She's doing up in Maine now. She's not in Massachusetts. And I know that they have, from my understanding from the CCC, when I did a FOIA, there seems to be an investigation of that company going on. They couldn't tell me anything, but it seems like there is an investigation based on what you and I broke to the public, our reporting, not the Globe, not anybody, not any big media. It was right on this show. It was Danny and I digging into reports, finding information. What do you think about that? That Casas is gone now.
I think it's really interesting. Of course, it's such a huge secret. We'll never probably even really know for fact until, maybe it gets leaked hopefully one day by somebody, but it's hard to know because this agency, like the CCC's done a good job at kind of burying what's going on and with their internal things, like with their staff and how their behavior is. And I think that they don't want to be embarrassed by the fact that, like you said, we were right about this guy. Like he is just a sleazy, just doing just like the bad parts of cannabis that we all hate is this guy, and then they put him in charge of testing. And so I'm thinking, I think that there's finally enough voices behind the fact that this guy was no good. I know there's a lot of scientists that have been working on this, like on making sure people were aware. Like I was walking around NECAN listening to conversations and could hear people talking about that. And, I think it finally came a time where the commission needed to do something about and make some damage control or something.
I wonder if some of the good testing companies aren't going to sue too, because like Pro Verde basically got put out of business because they were too honest. Like the testing
Right.
companies that were honest couldn't get any business. The ones that were
Right.
inflating numbers took all the business. And someone asked which company was that. I think it was called Cannabis Analytics. Was that the name of the company? I believe that was it.
I think it was
Something.
Analytics Labs.
That's what it was. Analytics Lab. Thank you. You got it right. Analytics Lab.
Yeah.
That was the name of the company. And I think they might still be around, but I think they're under investigation. But the CEO is not around. She left the state. There were some other questions that I had too. I'm trying to go back to my notes here. I guess like what do you think about in terms of the unions? Are they still involved in this, or have they cut bait? Because I know that they
Yeah.
have not had a lot of success, unfortunately, in this industry.
There's a lot of union busting. If you look on the National Labor Relations Board website, you can do case searches, and I've been doing those to see what kind of cases come up for union busting activity for cannabis companies. And I mean, it's left and right throughout the state and across the country too. But the UFCW, I will say, has been pretty persistent in their fight for cannabis workers and to try and organize. They've dedicated a lot of resources, I think, in my opinion, to having enough, organizers who are actually out there talking to workers. And when they're trying to unionize their facilities and need help with a, collective bargaining agreement or things like that. They're really there for people. It's just that these big companies really hate unions, and they are doing everything that they can to get these people to just shut up and just stop talking about it, and that in hopes that maybe, I guess, it will go away. But I know that this is all, if people don't unionize, I think it's all going to culminate into just so much more worker health and safety issues when these are all, you know, people that have been working there for 4 years and have had, several upper respiratory infections every year. After a while, that does a number on your body, and I think that people are going to be left with having long-term issues from this.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hear about it too often. You know, just it's a common thing. People getting sick at these dispensaries. They're stiff. It's funny when the first employees from New England Treatment Access came on the show. They were talking about when the new employees come in, we have to circle around them and tell them how to protect themselves. And people are sticking paper towels up their noses. They're going buying the OTC asthma products. Just it's constant not feeling well when you work at a lot of these big cultivation sites. We've opened up the phone lines. If people want to call in with a question for Danny right now, get some feedback. Any comments? 978.
978.
Do you hear that feedback? This is just
No.
me, Danny. You don't hear it. It's weird.
Nope.
I got a ghost in the machine. I only can hear myself talking back, and it just went away. Thank God. That would have drove me crazy. Let me read the number again if I can. I'll wait for it to come on the screen. 978-560-3155. I haven't used this number in a while, so this is your opportunity. Maybe you want to say something else on the show as well tonight. You can call in 978-560-3155. Someone said, why is it union needed if company is government regulated? Because the government's not doing their job. That's why, Sherry. Yeah. Right,
Right.
Dan? I mean, they're just not doing their job, right?
Yes. If a company is government regulated, right. Exactly. The part is that they regulate their inventory and how they don't want it to get onto the streets for children to get a hold of, but they don't regulate to the fact of that cannabis workers are getting sick and ill from it every day in this state. They're not putting any kind of like requirements for these health and safety plans that these companies are supposed to have. They don't check and investigate those when they walk in randomly to check on inventory, which they should. The commission, I mean, and yeah, I mean, they're not doing enough, and they haven't done enough at all, really. They've really done nothing for workers.
I guess people are hearing my feedback. I think it went away. I don't hear it now. I maybe have a weird cord over here. 978-560-3155. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. See it there? 978-560-3155 if you want to call in. And there have been problems in other states as well.
Yeah, across the country, more people have died across the country too. I believe it was in Illinois where they had another woman who had passed away on the job from doing the same job Lorna was doing. Um, and, you know, I think the problem is that people don't have information, they're not trained, and what these companies, I mean, these places like the commission, what they can do is make it a requirement that every supervisor gets OSHA 30 training, or that every cannabis worker gets OSHA 10 training, or anything like that. But they've done none of that. They just say in the regulations in one line of the 500 pages that these companies need to follow OSHA regulations. Well, that's very obscure. And how do you apply that? If you're a cannabis company owner who's never owned a company before or never run a cannabis company before, I mean, or an MSO that is like, well, there's 400 lines of stuff about inventory and one about workers. So I guess we're not going to need to worry too much about that one. They need to make it a priority as soon as possible.
And I know the echo is back. Hopefully it's not back. It's back. Oh man, we may have to cancel this. Unfortunately, my echo is out of control. But I will say the state kind of set this up. They required millions of dollars to open these places. The companies had to invest millions of dollars just to open a cannabis facility. And so the people who own these companies, the people that manage these companies are just looking at, I owe $5 million. And that's all they care about. How can I get that $5 million to pay back so I can get a profit? That's all they care about. And the state did that, unfortunately. The state have set this industry up to fail workers. It just, it's a really sad state of affairs. Looks like we lost Danny as well. We're having a lot of technical issues tonight, but it was a good show. I'm going to remove Danny for a second. Hopefully he can get that set back up and we can say goodbye to Danny tonight. Danny's done great tonight. My echo went away and then we lost Danny. I don't know. It's one of those nights. We're rolling with the punches. Yeah, connection issues. That's it. Yeah. But if you guys want to call in, this is your opportunity. Maybe you want to talk about Karen Reed too. Maybe you want to talk about Jennifer O'Donnell. Maybe you want to talk about the Canton Police Audit. A lot of times people can't get through. We have thousands of listeners tonight. Less listeners. You can get through the phone line. Again, you can call in right now. The number is scrolling at the bottom of the line. 978 is the area code. 560-3155. 978-560-3155. Before we wrap it up, it looks like we did lose Danny, unfortunately. But again, please, if you want to help out with cannabis workers, follow Danny on Instagram. We posted his Instagram. If you know any workers, if you're a worker yourself, show up. He's having a big party. He's putting some money on the line. Curaleaf is one of the worst companies. Curaleaf, True Leaf. That's what I mean. Make sure you're not buying their bunk. Don't buy that crap. And they have all these different brand names that they hide it under. You want to look on the back of the label. It says manufactured by who? Look it up. And if you don't know, look it up online. That's the biggest thing I want to know when I'm buying cannabis. Who grew this? I don't give a shit about what strain it is. I don't care about even the pricing or the THC levels. I don't care about any of that. I want to know who grew this product. How do they treat the employees? Is this product likely to get me sick? That's why I wish I trusted more legal cannabis grows. River Run is like the one I trust in Mass. Unfortunately, we have so many brands in Mass, but a lot of them just you can't trust. And we have so many of them, it's tough to know who's actually good out there. So I wish there were more companies that I could reference that were great, like River Run. River Run Gardens. I know they're great. They don't have a dispensary that you can buy it at. They sell it to other dispensaries. So you got to look on different menus and see where you can find it. You can look up their website. They'll tell you where they sell it. It's riverrungardens.com, I believe it is. So just do a Google search, River Run Gardens. They're up in Newburyport where they grow it. Someone said ComCan and Sierra Naturals. I don't know about ComCan. I've heard some not great things. I don't know. I have no idea about ComCan. Sierra Naturals, they had some mold issues back in the day. What I like about Sierra Naturals, it's now Air, AYR. They have had some issues too with some of the non-union employees. They haven't treated them the best. So even they aren't great. But I'd say I actually did buy some Sierra Naturals, which is now Air, this week, just because, they didn't have River Run where I was looking at, and they had a good deal on it. And I know they're unionized. I know that they've at least tried. They didn't union bust. They tried to deal with some of the issues we're talking about. So for a big company, I think Sierra Naturals is probably one of the better ones. But I don't know. I mean, you got to really talk to the employees. I've talked to UFC employees in the past, UFCW, who worked at Air, and they said that it was good and they took care of them. And then I've heard other people say it wasn't so good. So it's even tough to know when you think, some of the better ones. It's really hard to know. Like I said, the only real grower I like in Mass that's legal is River Run Gardens. River Run Gardens. They're out of Newburyport, Massachusetts. It's veteran owned by Ed Sousa. Good guy. I like their products. That's the one I go with. When I have a medical card, a lot of times I'll travel to Maine. I also sometimes still see some guys that I know that grow their own too. Well, since I got it all set up, I'm going to try to play the voicemails. You guys want to hear the voicemails from the clown show? Someone said tonight it's not Mike Higgins. I just thought, for some reason, how nasty he was, I thought it might be Mike Higgins, but I have no idea. I've never heard Mike Higgins' voice, so I have a few other suspects as well who's calling me. But let's play the audio if I can get that up. Hold on one second. Yeah, we'll play this came in last night at 1:54 a.m. See if I can get it on this time. Oh, I think I got it.
Guy, you still walking dogs? Guy, you still walking dogs?
That is the most fakest Joker laugh I've ever heard. This is what this guy at 1:54 a.m. is thinking about me. Thinking I gotta call Mike Crawford right now and bag on him because he walks dogs for money, because people trust them with his dogs, with their dogs. Excuse me. I know it's the same dude. He calls from unknown numbers. Here's another one. This is from August when he called me last time in August.
Yeah, this is Colin Albert from fucking Canton. Listen, Mike, you're a fucking loser. I heard you're a professional dog walker. You got fucking 5 empty cans of peanut butter up in your cupboard. Listen, Beethoven's father called. Stop molesting his dogs, bro.
This is what we're dealing with. This is kind of sicko. I appreciate the content, though, dude. I hope you call again soon. Maybe grow some balls and don't call from a blocked number. You know what's funny, too, though? Artificial intelligence, voice recognition. Eventually, we'll probably be able to just put that in a system and figure out who you are. Won't that be something? And Bud, I'm not getting rid of that message. That message is staying on my phone forever. It inspires me to keep going. So keep calling. I kind of enjoy it. I like when they call me at 1:54 a.m. or whatever it was. What time was it again? So let's see what time that was. Yeah, 1:54 a.m. last night. The dude's thinking about me. How much in his head am I? I don't even know who this guy is. All right, I'm going to read a couple super chats. I want to thank our guest tonight, Jennifer O'Donnell, for being here, and Danny Carson. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Yeah, they're not going to ever scare me off. I'm telling you right now. If I didn't get scared off by the Mass State Police after what they tried to do to me in January, there's nothing that's going to scare me. Barbara sent $10. Thank you so much, Barbara, on Venmo. Very much appreciated. Also, checking the Cash App. I think maybe one came in tonight. I want to check that out. Thank you so much. Melanie sent $25. Thank you so much, Melanie. Very much appreciated. I think that's Melanie's first contribution. I don't recognize the name. So thank you so much, Melanie. All right. And Neil Kelleher also sent some money. That was back in September 29th. So thank you so much, Neil. I see you at all the protests. You're the man. All right. I think we're good to go tonight. I think think we did what we needed to do. Tomorrow night, Monday night, 7 p.m. Make sure you're here. It's going to be epic. Canton Audit Police meeting. We don't know what's going to happen. It should be very interesting. I'm hopeful. After all the bullshit that we've seen, I'm seeing some signs that things might go our way. We'll see. And I also got to say, there will be, after this is over with the police audit, we're going to get a lot of dirt on the show about what's going on. Because Kathleen Howley is definitely going to come on and tell us everything when she can. Who's on the phone? You're a caller tonight. What do you got for us?
This is Phoebe Bird. Hello to all the free Karen Reed. Hello, Mike Crawford.
Hello.
Thanks for taking my call.
Susie Bird?
Phoebe Bird. You just read out my "Who do you like?"
Tweety Bird.
Text. Phoebe Bird.
Okay, thank you. And this is your first time calling?
I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener. I do both with cannabis and love crossover with Karen Reed. I actually knew you from cannabis or followed you and then got involved in this. And I just love the work that you guys have done. Glare, can't even believe what we saw tonight with Melanie Little and the Glare and the crossover of all of those cases and all of those officers doing weird, nefarious things throughout each case. I'm reading on Brian Walsh. I don't know. I turned my chat off so I could talk to you on the phone.
Great. And what did you think about our... go ahead.
Yeah, no, please ask me a question.
I was going to say, what do you think about the what's going on with with cannabis in general for workers in the state?
Well, I do a deep breath in and breath out because what you guys are working on is very real and very good. One of my biggest frustrations is that these companies should be treated like regular companies, held to the same standards as regular companies. The reason that they're doing you guys so dirty is not that they're cannabis companies, it's that they're a tobacco company with investments in cannabis in Massachusetts, or they're, a larger company, different, they have interests everywhere. They're not bad. They're not doing those tactics because they're cannabis. It's partially that, but, there's so many aspects of having a cannabis company that I just really believe that the same other companies should be held to that same standard. The testing, I have a lot of opinions about the testing. And I was the one that made the comment that Pro Verde was a good guy in this testing. I mean, that's laughable because of but I appreciate it and I applaud them, but it's, there's no standard of standards. That's what it comes down to with testing labs. There's no standard of standards. If there was, the government could say, these are the standards. We test by these standards.
Well, that's why I praise Pro Verde, because they came on this show, Chris from Pro Verde, and they kept asking the state, we need a standard. What is the standard? Like, this does not make sense. What you're saying, that we can all just fudge the numbers. That's what basically the executive director, Sean Collins, told Pro Verde and these other testing companies, that you can fudge the numbers. We don't give a shit. And Pro Verde wanted a standard that everyone could follow and be fair with. So that's why I give them praise. They were vocal about it. They've been very vocal, and they've suffered over it. So I think they're,
Certainly. Yeah, and that is a good thing. So there's no standard of standards, and anyone can open a lab as long as you supposedly don't have ties to another cannabis company. But all of the labs were sent from, I'm just generalizing here, but the majority of labs were set up because there was a need for labs by big companies. They sent their labs the labs came from California and, other places, Colorado, in the same way. And the system was set up so that everyone would have these elements that they were required by law to use. But yeah, the clean cannabis the mold thing is a very big problem. People should not be smoking mold. They should not be getting products that are compromised, but the problem is a squirrely mess with the Cannabis Commission control. I mean, I was surprised to hear your guest say that there's nobody in charge of the testing. Well, it sounds like there's nobody in charge at all.
Yeah, there's nobody.
It sounds like
it's like a ghost ship.
It's a hot mess. And why would you? It's so. I don't have an answer for the regular consumer of like, how do you guarantee your stuff is good? You do listen to people. I love that you gave at least one grower that you trust. But it's an agricultural product, and you got to remember that with we don't smoke our produce. So there's different levels of discussion of mold, and there's hardly anything else to compare it to. But, in that regard of things that have mold that you smoke, it's really sort of a unique thing. But I'll say the number one thing for testing that people overlook is a test called water activity. And if a product, specifically a cannabis product, has passed a water activity test, that means that they got whatever product it is, food or an herbal actual flower or whatever. If you get that water activity test down below a certain point, then if, say, you leave your eighth of weed that you bought in the car in a hot summer day and it pops up, the temperature pops up, there's no way of it growing mold again. That mold is gone. So there are other tests that are involved in production that are important, not just does it have mold at the final spot. And there's not really a larger conversation about, we're just talking about one test, the mold and microbials, but there's probably a whole slew of tests that are required, and they all work together. So people do shop. I mean, that's not, it's so funny because it wasn't not a new news story. It's all over California. People shop for labs, and rightfully so, as business people would shop for better insurance. This is a terrible statement to make. I'm sorry I'm saying that, but as that's sort of how the MSOs would see it, is you shop for insurance, you shop for the testing results that you need. But also not to take it off of that, but there's also an irrational demand by consumers demanding a high THC. Well, that's not even real.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's real. It could get you more high, but there are other factors, just like there's
real.
other tests.
Yeah, the numbers are inflated.
The numbers aren't real. And you cannot trust them.
And that's what people
are
basing their purchase on, which is crazy to me. It's like, the dispensary people, the bud tenders are always like, yeah, that one has the highest THC. And I'm like, who grows it? That's all I care about. I just want to know who grew that. That's it. That's all. It's the most important thing for me. Who grew the product? Do they have a lot of complaints against them? Is there mold there? If anything is holistic industries, I'm not touching it ever.
No.
Like, it's just,
no.
People are like, oh, look at this Jerry Garcia stuff. Then I look them back. It's holistic industries. Like, yeah. It's like, they're like, oh, this is the best. It's Jerry Garcia. It's like, no. That's holistic industries labeling it Jerry Garcia. It's like people need to know who grew the product.
As a general rule, if there's some sort of, celebrity sponsorship on it, that's probably something that is created in the back by marketing. It's, that's the only, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know Massachusetts, you guys mostly are all from Massachusetts. I don't know Massachusetts as from living there, but there is a company, and I could be wrong about this, but ChemDog, to me, he's the celebrity that you want on your weed. He's the one that's, he started ChemDog. He's real. I could be wrong about, they do business in Massachusetts. So I don't want to say the name of a company that is not preferred, but
I know what it is. It's Cannabis for Provisions. He has
it's Cannabis Provisions. But just as an example, if you're looking for a celebrity on your weed, it's not
Snoop Dogg.
necessarily Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
and
because
it's
that
not
shit's all
necessarily
branded.
Big
That shit is
Poppy.
all created by big
Yeah.
companies that buy the
They just got
licensing.
Cheech and Chong brand in Maine, and it's like, well, Cheech and Chong did not grow your weed.
Yeah, they
dude.
they
It's
license
some
it
guy.
to another company.
They licensed it. So, like, things that are red flags are definitely read all the test results. Definitely look at when the production date was. Is there a harvest date on it? Is there, and your nice gentleman guest said TAC, that's total cannabinoids. But really, the THC is what people are looking for, and they get tricked by that total cannabinoids because it's the total THC plus what other cannabinoids did register. And each individual testing lab only has standards for X amount of other cannabinoids or terpenes, like what else is in there. Well, their sort of spectrum that they of that category that they can test is limited. So, there's way more cannabinoids in the world that we're even testing. So the total cannabinoids, that's a made up number. The THC is an interesting number. But so be careful, I would say, to the general person for shopping at TAC, because above THC, what are those other cannabinoids? What are they? You're not telling me. So they're usually minor, right? I won't go on and on.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
good.
always
I
wanted
want
to
to
talk to you,
switch
my
to
friend.
real quickly because I want to wrap this up tonight. What do you think is going to happen in Canton tomorrow with this police audit, the meeting?
3-2 next. Answer 3-2 next. I am very frustrated for you guys. I think that I really admire the two people that were trying to go over some questions. I think there's going to be more railroading, and the fact that there's an inherent time limit and cap on money is going to cause a problem because they'll drag their feet, and that's money. Time is money. And really, I think that you guys have an election in January for the select board. Is that the case? I think everyone should just start working towards whatever that next election is, and how to get new people in there. And I hope that I'm frustrated for the police audit. It's the police audit, but it's the select board that's controlling it right now, which is such an interesting scope.
It sure is.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer. I think that we're all going to be incredibly frustrated. And I woke up thinking 3-2 next, because that's real deep corruption right there. And so, yeah, I'm glad. What time is it?
7 p.m.
that you're
Eastern
broadcasting?
time. 7 p.m. Eastern time
Okay.
tomorrow night.
I mean, I do think that more people need to show up because there was very few people in real time. Just a comment.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people show up tomorrow, 7 p.m.
So if you can show up, please do. Just, bodies in the room. This is like real human. People are you intimidated just by humans showing up? Well, that's just not how it works. This is civic duties that these people have to carry out. There's the actual civic duties. So, make your presence known. Hey, I was the one that, I don't know if you saw it, but I sent you an example of another town having the police trying to get the police cameras, explaining how they work, explaining the protocol, how they're going to use them. Did you watch that video at all?
Don't recall. I get so many messages.
Oh yeah, you probably didn't, but there is some fabulous YouTube examples of the opposite spectrum of what Canton is doing. Just not, I'm for police. I'm just not for corrupt police. I think they have a long way to go to get out the likes. the cover up of just the Sandra Birchmore, the actions of the police. And then I just know that the police that were covering for those guys have skeletons in their closet too. So now they're covering skeletons that we don't know about. And then they're going to have to deal with all of the intertwining of all these different cases. And I think they really didn't want all this information to come out before a couple other cases the feds are working could get set, like air quotes, get settled. And they need to be settled because those are involving some real bad guys too, but they're all intertwined with Canton or the Norfolk County Police, and it's all intertwined. It's kind of crazy. And so I just think that they're trying to quell it just for a little bit longer so more cases can, but it's all intertwined. Just like Diddy's intertwined in the music industry. It's everyone's involved in this. It's not the same. I don't mean everyone's involved, but there's more people, you know, there. I can't believe, just side note, all of the videos right now are getting bought up by wealthy people that don't want them to be out there. So where we saw this Diddy information all start to come out, now we haven't seen any new videos because any videos, what's the term for it? There's a term where they buy the video so it doesn't get out into the
Catch and kill.
The world. Catch and kill. Yeah. So unrelated really to Canton, but I do think that there's gonna have to, they don't want the audit to go through right now just because there's gonna find just too much stuff, too many skeletons in the closet. And I say, bring it on out. Bring out your dead, because you really, there's justice for John O'Keefe is so important, but also justice for everyone else that has had these injustices happen to them. And the gaslighting and the wrong addresses and the misspelling of it's 100% gaslighting to look the other way. And the skeletons are there sitting in the closet waiting for the police audit to open the door. That's in my humble opinion. So I'll let you wrap it up, good sir. I'm glad to call in. I love your people and your chat. And I love the supporter. I feel like the crew that has really taken on the injustices of what's happened at the Mass State Police, this crew and people, they're really awesome. It's really nice to know that they exist in the world and that some people can't take it anymore and enough is enough. So thanks for doing what you do.
And do you ever check out the yellow cottage idiot in the attic guy?
Well, I can't stand to look at that wooden paneling. It's just not like, I can't look. It's so gross. It's like, I think we had that wood paneling in our,
Yeah. He gives me.
But anyway, I do watch it.
Yeah. Do you ever watch the movie Psycho with Norman Bates?
Not in a long time.
He gives me Norman Bates vibes. Kevin does.
It's Norman Bates vibes. Yeah.
Norman Bates.
That's what it is.
The idiot.
And there's like complete disregard for like awareness that you are broadcasting yourself to the world. Usually someone would just blur the background. It's not about you in your house, sir. It's about like the message you're trying to put out. So blur so we can concentrate. If you actually, I do like that, he's insinuating that somebody has a cottage that's yellow, but but I usually watch on the replays. And if you're suggesting I watch more,
no.
Okay.
I barely ever watch him. I watched him the other day, and he mentioned me like 8. Young Jelly, Young Jelly won't do it. Young Jelly ain't gonna do it.
I heard your comment like, I just ignore, but so some people have credibility and some people don't. And he's not it. So I don't garner my information.
I don't get why he doesn't realize how like funny he is, like unintentionally, like the comedy that he puts out. It is funny. It is really some of the stuff he does. Like you think he's Like, yeah, when he took his
I will
shirt
say-
off, that was funny. That was hilarious.
I am not one for this, but when Grant fell up the stairs the other day, I just,
You guys
sorry,
are
but I've been
terrible
snickering.
people.
It's funny.
Falls on his ass.
Yeah. It's like
It's
karma,
the karma.
dude. Instant karma. Oh, I will say he posted something about someone in Maine the other day, and you should read, just like the Karen Reed case, as you read through the facts, you go in order and none of it makes sense. It's like, so are you saying you were talking to the police before this guy got arrested, and then you talked to this guy, and then a day later he got arrested? So what? Just like the fact, you're not a reporter if you're constantly getting the information wrong, I feel. You only get so many tries to claim that you're some sort of source when the information isn't quite right.
He's the only one that's pure, though. He's the only one that has guts to stand up to the mob. Like, he has such he calls everyone else a conspiracy theorist, but he is the ultimate conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
He is like a total nut job.
I'm not sure how I feel about him.
Basically, if you listen to Kevin's conspiracy, Aiden runs everybody. Like, we all go to church and we bow down to Aiden. He gives us our talking points. It's just the stuff he says is just so outlandish.
I really appreciate Aiden because he's truly himself, and he's from Worcester. And if anybody just had friends from Worcester, they would know that shit's real. It's not that anybody, thinks is the end all. That's how it's a beautiful thing. I have some good friends from Worcester. They're kind of have similar personality traits, and
It's funny because I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a friend who I grew up with. He was like my best friend growing up. And I look at Aiden so much, the way he even just walks and talks. And I'm like, it reminds me of the kid I grew up with. And I'm just like, it's so funny. Like, I didn't really, it's, this Jamal Crawford, who's a former Black Panther who sometimes calls into the show. He's a good friend of mine. We got the same last name, Jamal Crawford.
I didn't know he was a Black Panther.
He used to be a long time ago, not anymore.
Okay.
But so basically, Jamal said to me, he's like, Aiden's just like any of those dudes you grew up with. And I was like, yeah. That's exactly what it's
And it's endearing to me because I really love those people. They're my friends from that area of Mass. And if you're not from Massachusetts, maybe you actually don't know that there's lots of people are like that. It's, I don't know, terroir, no. A little flavor of the geographic area for sure. So people just like the truth. And people get sick of liars that go around gaslighting people in town and trying to manipulate. People hate to be manipulated, especially when they know you're manipulating. They hate that shit.
Like
and
Kevin.
So they react.
That's a funny thing. Kevin goes around and says that Turtle Boy is the grand manipulator, and Sean has conned all these. Sean and Turtle Boy and Young Jelly, you're conning all these. I don't it's like you're saying I manipulate people.
You're like the nicest.
Yeah,
human
like I don't.
Is so neutral
you know who is a
everything.
manipulator? Kevin, KP,
Kevin,
and Grant. Those three people.
He should manipulate the shit out of his background.
Who's more of a manipulator?
I'm
KP,
sorry,
Grant, Kevin, or you put on the other side Turtle Boy and Sean. Who manipulates?
Oh, definitely the teeter-totter falls heavy with Grant and Yellow Cottage Tall Tales, I'll say.
Yeah.
Super tall tails.
Yeah. They are the grand
the teeter-totter is
manipulators.
very heavy.
They have secret chats. They plot on people. They target people. I mean, they are everything that they claim that Aiden is. Like, Aiden doesn't do that. They do it. It's projection.
Yeah. And how you choose to spend your time really shows, that just not going to work out for them in the long run. But I do like that people such as yourself call them out on it, because people actually, like regular people, not, in on it and they don't know the facts of the matter. They actually, just take people at their word because they don't have time to go and research. So if somebody's chirping in their ear, like constantly with weird facts, kind of like the weird facts that, I'm sorry, was it News Channel? I don't want to say the wrong channel. Is it with the interviewee that the other day that's like, they've made their entire, a new culture out of supporting this. It's like, anyway, I haven't formulated my full opinion of how to explain the weird snide remarks those were towards people that are supporting justice and anti-corruption. So you're going to make snide remarks against people that are like, hey, this guy got unalived by being at a state trooper's. Like, we have a problem with that. So you're going to just try to side comment it. It was just it's strange. Do we know why she was a guest or why she was chosen to have those opinions?
Are you talking about the NBC Sue?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I mean, I've known Sue.
Yeah.
I've known about Sue for a long time. I even know some of her relatives,
Okay.
and I mean, I just think I don't know what it is. It seemed like she was pretty good for a while, and I don't get why she came off with this. It just I don't know.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, and it wasn't necessarily. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway,
I think it was just a
love your
bad
show.
take. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, she gets it together.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she's
a lot of people
nefarious.
that don't understand YouTube. No, I think you're right.
I think she's just trying to play the middle.
After.
I think that Sue O'Connell, honestly, when it comes
That's
down to it,
what
I
it
think
is.
she's trying to play the middle, and she needs to realize she can't play the middle because there is no middle on this. You're either with truth and justice, or you're with the evil people on the other side. I mean, that's it. There's no middle, and Kevin proves it. I mean, Kevin is such a fraud. It's unbelievable. And he'll sit there and talk so much trash, but we watched him on video say in the Sally Port video, the inverted video, go, oh, look, it's a gotcha moment. And then he was wrong and he didn't retract. Like, he's so full of shit, like over and over. And he plots. Like, I know it. I've exposed it. Like, I want to thank you so much for calling in, Phoebe.
Thank you. Yeah, 100%. Love your show. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
You too. 7 p.m. We'll see you there.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now. That was Phoebe Bear. That was a good call. Kevin is such a fraud. He really is. And it's, what's really funny is he thinks he's smart, but it's like, dude, we can all see through you. Nobody is buying it. He's like, well, that's because the conspiracy sells. Dude, I'm not selling shit. I'm just following the facts. I'm interviewing people. And everyone who has any intelligence, like Mark Betterow, sees what this is. Kevin's like, Mike's the young jelly said he was going to cover both sides. I have covered both sides. And I found that your side is full of shit and a bunch of liars and fraudsters. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I tried to do what Sue did. I gave it a few weeks. I researched. I read everything. I talked to the other side. I talked to them all. I talked to Kevin. I talked to his little friend that's in hiding now. His little friend told me a lot of stuff, Kev. Told me a lot of stuff, Kev. You know what he told me. He told me that Kevin talks to Elizabeth Proctor and talks to the state police. My sources, not just his little friend, but many other sources, I got a lot of sources, told me that Kevin, KP, Jennifer Coffindaffer, Gretchen Voss, they all made a deal with the district attorney through the Mass State Police. And a lot of them was just, for ego and access to get the special drops of information when the DA wants to pat him on the head. Kevin denies it. Nobody believes him. We don't believe you, Kevin. You are one of the most shadiest, untruthful people I've ever come across, Kevin. And for someone who thinks they're smarter than everyone, he's low IQ. He's very low IQ. And it's funny, he thinks that Turtle Boy controls everyone through fear and intimidation. It's like, dude, you know what? Like, Turtle Boy put something out about me. I didn't even know about it until Kevin's little friend told me 2 or 3 days later after it was put out. Like, that's how that little comment that Turtle, because Kevin keeps saying, Mike got intimidated when Turtle Boy criticized him. I didn't even know that he had criticized me for 2 to 3 days until Kevin's little friend called me and said, hey, Turtle Boy wrote some shit about you. I said, oh, he did? I didn't even know. You know, nobody said shit to me. Nobody cared. People were mad at me that night when I criticized Turtle Boy, justifiably. I don't blame them at all, actually. And that wasn't based on anything Turtle Boy said. It did. He was in jail. He couldn't even communicate with people. Kevin is such a fraud. And he knows exactly what I went through and what they did to me and why I played their little game. I pretended to be tight with them. I pretended a lot, actually, because I was freaking out. I didn't know what was going to happen. They were threatening me with jail, with witness intimidation. They wanted me to go talk to Brian Telly. So I played the game. Mostly I was talking to Carl Dougal's brother. Kenny Dougal was one of them. That was one of the people. They said, Kenny, what do you got? Show me what you actually have. Step up. You keep saying that I know that she's guilty. What am I missing, Kenny Dougal? And Kenny Dougal came back with nothing. I asked Kevin's little friend, 2 of his little friends, actually, what do you got? Let me see it. I want to see what you're talking about. You say there's all this proof against Aiden. Guess what they showed me? 0. They have nothing. They're so full of shit. So I wanted to know, I did play both sides. I did cover it from both sides in my mind. And what I found out is that the Kennys and the Kevins, they're all full of shit. And what it comes down to for a lot of these people is they're jealous of Turtle Boy. Kevin is jealous of Turtle Boy. He's upset that he doesn't have the pull that Turtle Boy does. That's the thing you'll never find with me. I am not jealous of any other creator. I think when Turtle Boy has 10,000 listeners, viewers on his show, I'm like, great for you. When Melanie Little has more listeners than me, than with Mark Betterow, I'm like, oh, I'm happy that Betterow is getting seen by a lot of people. I like Melanie's show. Sean McDonough, another one. Those 3 shows those 3 shows, I would say, probably put better numbers consistently than my show. I am not jealous of any of them. I think they all are very talented and they work hard. They deserve all the viewers they get. That's the difference between Kevin and I. Kevin, all he ever talks about my show is the viewers. How he used to have more viewers than me and blah, blah, blah. That's all he cares about. And the funny thing is when this is all over, Kevin, your 150, 200 viewers that you have right now, half of them are people that support Karen Reed. They're all going away. When this case is over, Kevin, you're going to be down to 10, 20 people max. And maybe you'll get up to 50 live viewers on a live show when you spend your whole life chasing around Turtle Boy, because that's all you're going to have left is supporting and chasing around Turtle Boy. And you think that you're exposing Turtle Boy. All you do is create more fans for him. That's the funniest shit of all. This Kimberly Fair, the Kevins, all these people, all they do is create more support and more viewers for Turtle Boy. And sometimes us. That's why I laugh my ass off. I love when Kevin talks about the Young Jelly, because everyone's like, who's this Young Jelly? Who's the Young Jelly? Oh, that's the Young Jurks. Let me check them out. I heard about them. Subscribe. That's what happens. So I hope Kevin keeps talking shit about me. Keep talking shit, Kev. I love it. I really do. I usually don't watch it, but every once in a while I watch that last episode, Kev, and you kept going, Young Jelly won't do it. It's hilarious. Yeah, life's just not Kim Fair. Kim Fair. They're bullying me, she says. As she sits there on her Twitter and bullies people all day, every day. She bullies people in wheelchair. We saw her today. She was bullying some children, her friends, her kids' friends, some children. She was texting, bullying kids. I mean, this is the type of people. Kim Fair, they did a FOIA request on her. There was like 40 pages for the police in her town that hate her. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all the coverage they give us, because all it does, when the crazy start talking about us, we get more subs. So keep talking about us. And yeah, they do. They hate watch. And so don't the police. We found out that the Canton police are watching us all the time. I knew that as soon as I went and gave the speech at the Canton Police Department recently, when I said, Helena, where are you? Why haven't you released the Canton Police Audit, the Canton Independent Investigation of Kevin Albert? Why don't we even know who ran the independent investigation of Kevin Albert? We don't even know who investigated him. I gave that speech in front of the Canton Police Department. 3 days later, they did everything I asked for. And then this week, they're putting in their police report, they're transcribing that actual live stream and putting in a police report against Rich Schiffer. So they're watching it. The police, the trolls, everybody is watching everything we do. Broken Baker says, Plevin is the best of us. We're all grifters. He is pure and saintly, and his channel is gone when Kevin is cleared because he only has one topic, grifted on Karen Reed. It's the funniest thing. Kevin is the biggest grifter around. You know, it's so funny. Kevin's like, you know, all you do is grift on the Karen Reed. Before this, you had no viewers. You know, he ignores that I wrote for Dig Boston pretty much weekly for 10 years, and I kind of took a break from doing shows. I was sporadic with my shows. Like, there was a few networks I was at, Unregular Radio and WEMF Radio. When I was with them, we did a weekly show. The numbers were big. We did pretty damn good, actually, back then. And then when I went away from that, I branched out to another network, and then COVID happened. Yeah, our numbers weren't great because we were changing formats, and we didn't know which way we were going. I was barely ever doing shows. Then I had the Lorna McMurray. I covered that for a while. That did good numbers, but that kind of, you know, ebb and flow, right? But Kevin's first rodeo is Karen Reed. Like, I have a track record for 20 years covering all kinds of topics, both in print and doing podcasts, doing live streaming, audio shows back in the day, and now this YouTuber thing. And my track record is good. I've never been sued. I've never had any major retractions. Like, in all my writing, I wrote hundreds of articles for Dig Boston. The only type of changes in the reporting ever was maybe a misspelling of a name every once in a while. No retractions. I didn't have to apologize very often. A few things on social media I screwed up over the years, and I did apologize, and I did retract. I did things that Kevin will never, ever do. You never see Kevin. He pretends, oh, if we get information wrong, I'll go back and... He doesn't, though. He's a liar. He's a fraud. He doesn't correct himself. Kevin is a Johnny-come-lately, and he's been grifting the whole time. He wanted to write screenplays. He wants to be in Hollywood. I did this for 10, 15, 20 years. I didn't give a shit about Hollywood. I didn't try to sell Lorna McMurray's story to Hollywood. I didn't go around doing the stuff that Kevin does. Kevin is a fraud. Kevin chose, the first time he's on the scene, he's covering the biggest story. So who's the fraud? Kevin is. Kevin is a fraud. He's a grifter. The cops are watching this. Yeah, the cops are watching this. Yeah, if you didn't notice, the cops this week quoted my stream, 4 pages of my interview with Rich. The cops are watching, yeah. I went to jury duty last week, ran into a former Mass State Police. He knew who I was. He watches. I got to say, I really enjoyed the conversation at jury duty with the retired Mass State Police. Not going to say his name to protect protect his information. I'm not sure he's cool on that, but just I really enjoyed talking to him last week as well. And there are some other former law enforcement hitting us up. We're going to be covering some other stories. There's some good stuff I'm going to be covering, I think, in Lawrence. There's also some stuff in Braintree. We're going to have a former prosecutor who is challenging D.A. Morrissey. She's running against him. She's coming on the show, too. So there's a lot coming up here on this show, and I'm looking forward to it. I took 3 or 4 days off. I may take some more time off at the end of the week, but we're going to keep at it. Again, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., police audit meeting. Be here, 7 p.m. If you can, show up for it. Tuesday night, Canton Select Board meeting. Maybe you want to talk about the Ducks with these folks. We'll be covering it. We'll be broadcasting. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., I'll see everyone. I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us, contributing, watching. I want to thank our moderators, Stephanie. Thank you so much. She just gifted a membership. Charles Lynn, Sherry D. She gifted 10. Thank you so much, Sherry D. Joseph, he does this all the time too. Thank you, Joseph Kane. I love the memberships. We got to do some memberships. We're definitely going to, I keep saying that. I want to thank you all. I will see you again tomorrow night, Monday night, 7 p.m. Love you all. I'll see you real soon. Stay safe. Don't let them give you any shit. And remember, laugh at Kevin as much as you can. Just keep laughing, because that's all we're doing. We're all laughing. Really enjoyed it. And I got to say, I had a great time again last night with Attorney Betterow and Mazza Media. And I also met the real Auntie Bev, the good Auntie Bev. Not Judge Canoni. We met another Auntie Bev last night. I really enjoyed sitting next to her, too. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Have a great night, everyone. I want to thank our guest tonight, Jennifer. She was great tonight again, Jennifer O'Donnell. I also want to thank Danny Carson. Definitely make sure you follow Danny on Instagram. And I also want to thank our caller tonight. She was great as well. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow night.